trying to Google legs and how, but it's just us. Tour guides, dead dress code, flames and dust. Welcome to the pit, no refunds, no trust. I'm stuck in limbo's all sin, but barred from grace. All the singing hymns, no heaven face. Dante's ghost just wait in empty space. Here lust they whirl on endless breeze. Paolo and Francesca's kiss, a cursed tease. All yearn for love and drop to their knees. Lucky one sludge, kiss up the frights. Cerberus snarls at every bite. They gorge, they choke, stuck day and night. Lethal anchors with scales of gold. Plutus gone, involved so cold. Hands cramped from grasping, never sold. On the swamp of wrath, all rage is loud. Filippo Argenti fights in the crowd. Fury splashes can't drown them out. Heretics burn in tombs of flame. Far in their fire, they scream his name. Locked in denial, no one's to blame. Violence, rivers boil with blood. Minotaur hunts in muddy flood. Murderers scream, there's no more good. Fraudsters hide in the snakes below. Ulysses plotting his final woe. They bite, they twist, voices echo. At the bottom sits frozen hate. Lucifer chew when traitors stay. Brutus, Judas locked in ice, too late. So night stops deep through rage and sin. I'd scream to flee, but I'm late again. Trying to Google legs and how, but it's just us. Tour guides, dead dress code, flames and dust. Welcome to the pit, no refunds, no trust. I'm stuck in limbo's all sin, but barred from grace. All the singing hymns, no heaven face. Dante's ghost just wait in empty space. They whirl on endless breeze. Paolo and Francesca's kiss, a cursed tease. All yearn for love and drop to their knees. Lucky one sludge, kiss up the frights. Cerberus snarls at every bite. They gorge, they choke, stuck day and night. Lethal anchors with scales of gold. Plutus gone, involved so cold. Hands cramped from grasping, never sold. On the swamp of wrath, all rage is loud. Filippo Argenti fights in the crowd. Fury splashes can't drown them out. Heretics burn in tombs of flame. Far in their fire, they scream his name. Locked in denial, no one's to blame. Violence, rivers boil with blood. Minotaur hunts in muddy flood. Murderers scream, there's no more good. Fraudsters hide in the snakes below. Ulysses plotting his final woe. They bite, they twist, voices echo. At the bottom sits frozen hate. Lucifer chew when traitors stay. Brutus, Judas locked in ice, too late. So night stops deep through rage and sin. I'd scream to flee, but I'm late again. us. Tour guides, dead dress code, flames and dust. Welcome to the pit, no refunds, no trust. I'm stuck in limbo's all sin, but barred from grace. Scholars singing hymns, no heaven face. Dante's ghost just wait in empty space. They whirl on endless breeze. Paulo and Francesca's kiss, accursed tease. All yearn for love and drop to their knees. Lucky one sludge, kiss up the frights. Cerberus snarls at every bite. They gorge, they choke, stuck day and night. Regal anchors with scales of gold. Plutus gone, involved so cold. Hands cramped from grasping, never sold. On the swamp of wrath, all rage is loud. Filippo Argenti fights in the crowd. Fury splashes can't drown them out. Heretics burn in tombs of flame. Far in their fire, they scream his name. Locked in denial, no one's to blame. Violence, rivers boil with blood. Minotaur hunts in muddy flood. Murderers scream, there's no more good. Fraudsters hide in the snakes below. Ulysses plotting his final woe. They bite, they twist, voices echo. At the bottom sits frozen hate. Lucifer chew when traitors stay. Brutus, Judas locked in ice, too late. So night stops deep through rage and sin. I'd scream to flee, but I'm late again. And missed a rapture bus, trying to Google legs in hell, but it's just us. Tour guides, dead dress code, flames and dust. Welcome to the pit, no refunds, no trust. I'm stuck in limbo's all sin, but barred from grace. Scholars singing hymns, no heaven face. Dante's ghost just wait in empty space. Here lust they whirl on endless breeze. Paulo and Francesca's kiss, accursed tease. All yearn for love and drop to their knees. Lucky one sludge, kiss up the frights. Cerberus snarls at every bite. They gorge, they choke, stuck day and night. Regal anchors with scales of gold. Plutus gone, involved so cold. Hands cramped from grasping, never sold. On the swamp of wrath, all rage is loud. Filippo Argenti fights in the crowd. Fury splashes can't drown them out. Heretics burn in tombs of flame. Far in their fire, they scream his name. Locked in denial, no one's to blame. Violence, rivers boil with blood. Minotaur hunts in muddy flood. Murderers scream, there's no more good. Fraudsters hide in the snakes below. Ulysses plotting his final woe. They bite, they twist, voices echo. At the bottom sits frozen hate. Lucifer chew when traitors stay. Brutus, Judas locked in ice, too late. So night stops deep through rage and sin. I'd scream to flee, but I'm late again. hell, but it's just us. Tour guides, dead, dress code, flames and dust. Welcome to the pit, no refunds, no trust. I'm stuck in limbo's all sin, but barred from grace. Scholars singing hymns, no heaven face. Dante's ghost just wait in empty space. They whirl on endless breeze. Paulo and Francesca's kiss, accursed tease. All yearn for love and drop to their knees. Lucky lunch sludge, kiss up the fright. Cerberus snarls at every bite. They gorge, they choke, stuck day and night. Regal anchors with scales of gold. Plutus gone, involved so cold. Hands cramped from grasping, never sold. On the swamp of wrath, all rage is loud. Filippo Argenti fights in the crowd. Fury splashes can't drown them out. Heretics burn in tombs of flame. Far in their fire, they scream his name. Locked in denial, no one's to blame. Violence, rivers boil with blood. Minotaur hunts in muddy flood. Murderers scream, there's no more good. Frogs, monsters hide in the snakes below. Ulysses plotting his final woe. They bite, they twist, voices echo. At the bottom sits frozen hate. Lucifer chew when traitors fade. Brutus, Judas locked in ice, too late. So night stops deep through rage and sin. I'd scream to flee, but I'm late again. And missed the rapture bus, trying to Google eggs in hell, but it's just us. Tour guides, dead, dress code, flames and dust. Welcome to the pit, no refunds, no trust. I'm stuck in limbo's all sin, but barred from grace. Scholars singing hymns, no heaven face. Dante's ghost just wait in empty space. Here lust they whirl on endless breeze. Paulo and Francesca's kiss, accursed tease. All yearn for love and drop to their knees. Lucky lunch sludge, kiss up the fright. Cerberus snarls at every bite. They gorge, they choke, stuck day and night.
Hi, and welcome back. This is Jack and Despy and Ancom, and we have Rich's PFP up there in Pride of Place as we come back for Canto 34. We're coming back for this final canto of the Inferno, and then we will be adding in another text to our repertoire of things we go over week to week. As we do Purgatorio, we will also be doing the Analects. But today we get to finally exit Hell. And we get to see the three faces of Satan to mimic the triune Godhead of Yahweh and the Holy Spirit, etc. This is, I won't say it should be the most important canto, but I can't say that it is. If we are being completely honest, that would be Canto 17 still, because of the way that one is written. But this one is the one that you are absolutely going to be taken to task by your professor. So pay the fuck attention, because it's honestly, most professors only ever go this far. This is going to be your final canto within this story, and they are going to absolutely give you questions that sometimes don't seem to make sense, but do if you pay attention to the little idiosyncrasies we will explain as we go through this. I have also made sure this week to have Sayer's commentary up on screen that we can reference over to, as our good buddy Rich would be wont to do if he were here. And I have done this in exclusion to all the other commentaries on the Canto, just because it's the best we could do to have Rich here with us, since he loved Dorothy almost as much as Dorothy loved Dorothy. um, that being said, we will be getting to the reading here shortly. But to give us a minor refresher, we are entering the fourth region of the Lake Cocytus. The previous ones were for various forms of betrayers. We are now getting into what Dante and, in all honesty, not Dante alone, the wider Catholic doctrine views as the most evil betrayer in history. Although, if you go by the text, he's not evil at all, and could not have done anything other than he did. And if he had done something any other way, the story would not have unfolded correctly. Like this is one of the few characters that actually points in the Bible to a little bit of predestination in their necessity of action, and even though that action is deemed evil after the fact. So, and I'm not going to say the particular character's name because we'll get to that as we go. But anybody who is familiar with the Bible can put together who I'm talking about with this much. And yeah, we're just gonna say that kiss cost him more than he was paid. Now, I am going to do a little bit of preamble on this one because as we were talking in the startup screen waiting to get started, we ran across the first line being a little bit of a Latin throwback, which I had to do a little research on myself because it is a hymn that, as far as I know, isn't sang anymore, and hasn't been a commonplace fucking hymn in any church in over 200 years. So like I had never heard of it be outside of the context of the story here. Um but it is a hymn that was written during the time of Justin II. It is a hymn essentially to put it into a modern Christian parlance of music. Well, modern is doing a bit of heavy lifting here, but this is the 9th century equivalent of Onward Christian Soldier. And if any of you don't know that, I am not fucking singing it. I'm sorry, it's not happening.
But Jack, we need to hear your wonderful voice.
I have a decent voice. I'm still not singing that song. You will get me to sing "Oh Come All Ye Faithful" before you get me to sing "Onward Christian Soldier." And when we get done reading this first section, I will go and read the Sayers section on this. But this hymn, it does have significance in the 1300s. People need to remember, and we have been neglectful for several weeks, even before the loss of Rich, in reminding everyone that these 34 cantos have been taking place over the course of a week. That's all this is. Like, this has not been some crazy amount of time. This is not some, oh my god, it's been months, or oh my god, it's been hours. This has been a week of this surreal nonsense to parallel Eastertide. Like it is day by day. It parallels the at the time celebration of Easter and Passover within the Catholic Church. It just a lot of the things seem alien to us now, even if you are a Catholic, because a lot of these practices haven't been done in the Catholic Church since like the 1600s, 300 years after the time Dante is writing. So, like,
weren't there at least like 3 or 4 ecumenical councils in between
I
there?
think 6 if we're being technical. But yes, there was a lot. I'd have to look up if it's 5 or 6, but I think 6 if we're going by when the story is taking place as opposed to when the story is published. I think it makes it 6, but I'd have to check because it's been a while. And well, I have recently gone through canon law and catechism teachings and a bunch of shit in Catholic fucking deep fucking cut shit that I've needed to do to shut down an idiot about immigration. I haven't done this one in a while, so I have to go back. Because counting ecumenical councils is a little bit different because it depends on if you count the ones that are pseudo ecumenical councils that function in all but name as an ecumenical council as far as effect on the church and
I was
Catholic
just saying,
history.
like, in between like the 17 ecumenical councils that have been since basically the beginning.
Yeah, I know. I just don't remember the exact date of one, so that's why I'm saying I don't remember if it's 5 or 6. And that's not including the shadow ecumenical councils as I was just describing, because those don't even get listed. You have to go parse those out from the like the sorry, I did it backwards. That is a papal bull, but not an ecumenical council, but carries roughly the same weight as an ecumenical council. So, like I said, Catholic history, like it is not for those who want to remain sane.
There's just also not for those that want clear cut answers.
Also true. The only ones that we could do that are even more fucking confusing are the Mormons. And I don't have an Exmo to be here to be to the voice of that, and I wouldn't want to do that without one. Like,
I mean, technically I am, but not really.
Yeah, I was about to say you had some Mormonism in your background, but you were, as far as I remember, never a practicing Mormon.
I was, but only between the ages of 12 and 14, so it wasn't exactly much.
So what you mean is you went to Mormon church, and then you figured out that you had sexual impulses because you went through puberty, and you were like, fuck this shit.
No, I went to I attended Mormon church, and then I'm like, this is boring. I'm done. Bye.
Yeah, fair enough. That works too. Usually, when people only go from like 12 to 15, that is the story. That is almost the universal story, and it doesn't matter what type of sexual impulses they had. They're just like, yeah, church is not the place I'm going to be able to do anything about this. They're wrong, because we know church members are usually the biggest hypocrites, but that's beside the point. Back to hell, because that's what we're supposed to be talking about. This is where they're supposedly going for doing
back
all
to
that
hell,
shit.
Which is more logically consistent.
He's not wrong. And for those of you who perhaps might be Mormon in the audience, I'm sorry. I've read the Pearl of Great Price. I've read the Doctrine of Covenants. I've read the Book of Mormon. I've read the Book of Abraham. Your religion is better than many, but it's still nonsense. Like even if your version of God is what God is, your book is absolutely full of nonsense. Like, just to stop. Like, the Jews were not the Indians, like, in your book. Like, the Lamanites are not Jewish people. Like, I'm sorry, they were Native American people. They were First Nations peoples. They stop. Just stop. Sorry.
All right, let's get to it.
Sorry, that one was warranted because that one still fucking gets me about that fucking religion. Can't fucking get over that Joe Smith said all freaking Native Americans were Jewish people. Fucking lunatic. Sorry. Okay, back to Catholicism and its own lunacy, because it has its own.
That gave me time to fill out. Luckily, that gave me time to fill out the spreadsheet.
Which is kind of why we fill that time in anyways, but yes. Also because it helps us get warmed up. But Maxilla Regis Protuent Inferni. Toward us therefore look in front of thee, my master said, if thou discernest him. And as when breath, as when their breaths, God damn it, my fucking mouth today. As when there breathes a heavy fog, or when our hemisphere is darkening into night, appears far off a mill the wind is turning. Methought that such a building then I saw, and, for the wind, I drew myself behind my guide, because there was no other shelter. Now I, and with fear in verse I put it, there where the shades were wholly covered up, and glimmered through like unto straws in glass. Some prone are lying, lying. I need to move this over because having it over there is making me read for shit for some reason. Let's move you guys over to this side. Oh. Some prone are lying, others stand erect, this with the head, and that one with the soles. Another bow-like face to feet inverts. When it advanced so far we had proceeded, that it my master pleased to show me, the creature who once had beauteous semblance. He from before me moved and made me stop, saying, behold this, and behold the place where thou with fortitude must arm thyself. How frozen I became, and powerless then I asked it not, reader, for I write it not, because all language would be insufficient. I did not die, and I alive remained not. Think for thyself now hast aught of wit, what I become being of both deprived. Okay, so, introduction to Satan and Hell. This is one of those things that Rich would have loved to be going over with us very heavily, because this is one of those times where we get a direct parallel to something within Catholic religion and Catholic mythology, teaching about Hades the place and Hades the person as two separate things, and this talking about Dis the person. And we went through the city of Dis in earlier cantos, where we had to have the angel come down and break the gate open for us to reopen the gate that had since been resealed after the passing of Jesus, so on and so forth. Furthermore, it is the culmination of the surrealism up to this point. We've gotten to where they have taken us from people split from balls to brains, walking around like croquet hoops. They have had us flying around in empty space, trying to reach lovers we could never touch again. They have had us befouled by gadflies. They have had us, I mean, like, they have literally taken us through every type
sinking and wading through putrid sludge that
Yeah.
that was it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like they have put us through the ringer. And we finally get to the point where Dante the writer, Dante the narrator, and Dante the character all are, to put it in a modern term, at a loss for words to describe the surrealism of their environment and what they are seeing before them. Now, the reason I stopped where I did is because, first of all, got to give the other people, their portion of reading. Second, because it won't feel as surreal to us, the description we are about to read, because we have CGI and modern cinema that has showed us shit that is way stranger than this. But when you're coming from a time period where anything you saw with multiple heads died a very quick and gruesome death soon after birth, and anything you saw that had grotesque features that didn't die soon after birth due to complications was usually killed by its environment, and the people in said environment. The things that Dante's about to describe would be utterly surreal. And I don't mean that I'm using the term repeatedly, but I don't mean that in a kind of like abstract sense. I mean, like, this would be brain breaking to see to somebody in the 1300s when they still believed the sun revolved around the earth. Like, I mean, yeah, yes, I'm being slightly hyperbolic because not every culture had this problem, especially not in the 1300s, etc. But, like, this is something that would have been for almost anyone outside of an extremely well traveled tradesman, maybe. This would be surreal beyond measure. And the only reason an extremely well traveled person may not have found it as surreal in the 1300s is because they saw some of the Johnny plays in the Middle East, where they or what we would call genie plays, where they will actually wear like multi-faced masks and things like that. So like this is
Mhm.
very um yeah, this would be putting people into some interesting brain states as they're reading this in 1310 or 1308, whenever this was published. I think it's 1310. Um okay, so now the other part about this that I did want to comment on before I let you guys go is notice that we get to a more almost King Jamesian English in this translation. Um, Now, when you go over to the Italian, it doesn't carry this kind of like overly formalized language in the same way. So this is a very much modern English influence, and Longfellow isn't the only one to do this, by the way. Like a lot of people since Longfellow have done it as well because, well, to be honest, a lot more of them have been, Christian, and a lot more of them have been evangelical, so they will especially appeal to that more flowery language from that translation. That being said, it's the first time we notice it from Dante. Um, in the way that he wrote it, so much so that while it doesn't have the heavily formalized language in the Italian, it allows for it through the ambiguity of his language being a mixture of both common and like high court standard. So that juxtaposition of a language allows for this kind of interpretation. So the fact that this is also the first time that Dante does that seems to be implicative of something as well. I just don't know necessarily what, considering he wrote this 300 years before the King James Version existed. Come on, caffeine kick in for Ancom, and don't go to sleep yet there, Gatsby. Come on. Energy's up.
Yep.
He just beakered me. Mimi.
What's that?
You just beakered me. You just went, yep. You essentially went,
Yeah. Here we go, and come. Yep, 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 yep. Do you want to say anything? Nope, 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 nope.
I mean,
okay.
if you want me to go meet.
No, I was just getting. That's just essentially what you did. It was like, Jesus, one word reply.
Yeah.
We are on a commentary channel. Damn it! Like, yup is not commentary. Well, it is,
Nope,
but it is the
ahead
bare
of time.
minimum. It is the bare minimum.
It is the absolute least
Well,
I could have done.
I take that back.
Hey, no. You could have
just
given
grunt.
a grunt of
Yeah.
affirmation. You could have given a grunt of affirmation.
Yeah, we could go full Cro-Magnon. Yeah. Now, on that score, Ancom, I'm going to have to skip over you on this one. Not because I'm giving Despy one of his preferred words, but because I'm going to give him the tongue twisters today. Because he's the one who's been awake the
Yay!
longest out of the ones
Fair.
who are here today. Now, this isn't technically tongue twisters. It's just cumbersome to modern English because of the way it is punctuated. And if you look, I don't know why Longfellow did this. He matched the Italian punctuation, even though he doesn't verbatim translate it. It's so annoying. It makes it cumbersome to read, but
It makes sense that we're in the last circle of hell, and you decide to give me the worst tongue twisters.
no. Technically, I gave Rich the worst tongue twisters back in Canto 22, but those are the worst in the whole Inferno. So,
Where am I going to?
Looks like down to tercet 54. So down to trickle the tears drops.
Okay, it's not on screen, so
Yeah, it is. It's
I'll
down
have to
here.
wait.
Can you not see my mouse?
Okay. Oh, trickle the tears drops. The bloody dribble. Okay.
Yeah, down here. I actually, because I
Yep,
have
I
the
see it.
Italian up here, I actually have the tercet numbers on the side. I just had to draw lines because they don't line
Sounds
up
good.
perfectly because formatting.
Yep, I will get us started. The Emperor of the Kingdom Dolorous, from his mid-breast forth, issued from the ice, and better with a giant I compare. Then do the giants with those arms of his. Consider now how great must be that whole, which unto such a part conforms itself. Were he as fair once, as he now is foul, and lifted up his brow against his Maker, well may proceed from him all tribulation. Oh, what a marvel it appeared to me, when I beheld three faces on his head, the one in the front, and that vermilion was. Two were the others that were joined with this, above the middle part of either shoulder. and they were joined together at the crest. And the right hand one seemed twixt white and yellow. The left was such to look upon as those who come from where the Nile falls valleyward. Underneath each came forth two mighty wings, such as befitting were so great a bird. Sails of the sea I never saw so large. No feathers had they, but as of a bat their fashion was. And he was waving them, so that three winds proceeded forth therefrom. Thereby Cocytus wholly was congealed. With 6 eyes did he weep, and down three chins trickled the teardrops and the bloody drivel.
Okay, so we have a obvious level of horror, etc. But there's also a certain level of, God, I hate me going this deep into Catholic lore. There's also a lot of symbolism within the appearance within this. For example, the three faces, as I pointed out in the opening salvo, this is a parody, a desecration of the triune Godhead in its inversion. And the way that they list the three faces with the red, the yellow, and the black is to impose against the three most divine virtues. And these are virtues that are beyond the human capability. It's described, I want to say in Hosea. I'm not even going to say where it is in the Bible because I don't remember off the top of my head. But it is the red face is the face of anger and hatred, the face of war, the face of conquest due to the color in the Catholic lore, etc. It is standing in direct opposition to the divine love. The yellow and white, or between yellow and white, or as I would have translated it, pale yellow or yellowish white, would be the thing that stands in impotence to the divine power. And the black face is the one that stands in opposition to the divine wisdom. This comes from the yellow being a symbolism of the regencies and obvious reason of connection to gold. Like it's really is that basic, and black again being pretty obvious when you think about it when it's pointed out. But if you didn't know that red was viewed so heavily in this way in the 1300s within the Catholic Church, that is why the cardinals are in red cloth, is because they are the ones who decided when the Catholic Church went to war, so on, so forth. Like there's a lot that goes into this that if you don't understand the Trinity and the Godhead, you don't really grasp certain idiosyncrasies within this parody of it in the way that Lucifer is portrayed. But in the 1300s, these people would have been intimately aware. Go ahead.
Thing to keep in mind also is if you have a look at here, it says underneath each came forth two mighty wings. So the wings that he has are like a bat and waving them, which is what is causing Cocytus to congeal. And we've talked about this before, but what is it? Satan, the devil, Lucifer, whoever you want to call him, is basically sitting down there, beating his wings, freezing the water, and freezing himself in place. and he refuses to stop beating his wings, which perpetually keeps him stuck there.
Yeah,
And that's
his
this
contrapos.
part
He
basically
is the
explaining that.
he
Yeah.
is the perfect embodiment of the contrapasso by quite physically being the source of his own imprisonment.
Right.
And the other thing to take into account in this is it means this is a six-winged, three-faced, single-headed. Like, that's the part you have to really think about. This is a single head, three faces, six wings. And the way the wings are described, essentially, instead of the wings coming out of the mid-back, like we would think of with the anthropomorphic humanoid, they come out of the back of his neck.
Is that where they're coming out? Because I've been trying to figure out, like,
at least
where the fuck are these wings coming out?
Basically, like, right here is the way it's described. But that's just because of the poetic language. I'm sure, like, when he envisioned it like actual wings. But the way it's described, it's coming out like 2-3 inches below my tattoo.
No,
Yeah,
it's literally coming out here and flying here at the neck.
When I'm reading it, literally just says underneath each head. So, like, that could be coming out the front of the neck for all I know.
Well, we assume the back because it points out either shoulder. Like, we don't assume that they come out on and I know, but
he says above the middle part of either shoulder, which is just where the heads are. But yeah.
That's why I'm saying, like, it's that section of God, my anatomy is going over my head, and I haven't been in the gym long enough. Not your traps. These things, I can't remember the fucking name. No, the ones that that when you used to listen to the fucking pumping iron videos in the 90s, they'd call it the laps and straps, because this is where the straps went. But I know that's not the proper name of the muscle. The proper name's escaping my brain at the moment. Oh well, doesn't matter. But it's describing, like, right here, this region, like just across the top of the shoulders. So he has 6 giant bat wings coming out very high on the back. So this is, if we are going based on the way it is described, and as you can see in the Italian, Longfellow didn't take many liberties here. Like, he took a couple of liberties with, like, filler words, like to connect the description, but not much else. Like, this is one of these things.
Right back.
Yep. Where, like, I don't know if it's meant to be surreally abnormal, or if it's just poetic license making us see it more surreal than even he intended it. It is pouring down rain, Pupper. You cannot go outside. I'm sorry. Do you not hear that? Sad Pupper trying to get me to let her outside while it's fucking pouring down rain. Now, okay. Stop with the voice. Okay. Now, going back to this, the way that this is also described. Okay, come here. Come here, Handbone. Ugh. And we have our other co-host, Barbie, joining us right now because she felt she had to interrupt. So back to what I was saying, and the colors in this, while we generally attribute yellow in modern times with cowardice, etc., in this time period, it being attributed with gold, with power, was very normal. I wish Despy was back because he could be helping me on this. We see this even in the 10th through 15th centuries in Asia. where a predominance of yellow or gold threads start to be used in their tapestry work and their embroidery for like complex designs on like kimono and things like that started to be done. Where the same attribution was done, it wasn't until the latter half of the 1800s that yellow became attributed with cowardice. Tesby, did you hear that bit?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
Well, and I was going to have you back me up on this because, like I said, the 10th through the 15th centuries and throughout most of Asia, this is also true, where yellow, because it was such a hard color to produce reliably, was also attributed with wealth and power because of the gold connection.
Could have sworn that a lot of dyes, especially in East Asia, they use dandelions.
Yes, but it is very hard to do consistent yellows. You end up
Oh, okay.
pound for pound, you end up using like 10 times the amount of dandelions you would say a red poppy to make a red dye
Mm-hmm.
to make a yellow dye. So yes, they could do yellow, but it was reserved. Like we could do purple way back in the day, but it was reserved for the wealthy because of how hard it was to do.
Right.
That's all. It's one of those weird little idiosyncrasies that the cost to produce it was actually the reason that it was attributed with royalty, as opposed to vice versa. The thing we do now, we attribute anything that the aristocracy does with wealth, even if it's a piece of cheap plastic garbage. Like this was the opposite way of that working. This is the phone that has like the liquid cooling, but the liquid inside has like gold flake in it and shit. Because well, fucking people are weird. But that's another tangent I'm not going to go off on because Ancom and I could do a whole 2 hours on just that stupid shit. Ugh. Gotta get off my arm. I gotta use the mouse, baby. I know. I know. You are so upset. You can't go outside and you can't have complete dominion over my right arm. I'm sorry. Okay. Going back into, we'll finish off the commentary before we go back into the reading. And as we were pointing out, this is the contrapasso. This is the very essence of the entire imprisonment of hell. Be you in the very first circle or very first threshold of the first circle, or you be it in the very deepest part of Cocytus here with Satan himself. You are your own jailer. All you would have to do is give up your greatest sin, and you would be able to get out of hell free and clear. That is the whole point that has been laid out for
You might have to give a three-headed puppy some mud, but you can do
yes.
it.
But I mean, like that is what this has been about from the beginning, and this is the physical embodiment of that uh, metaphysical interpretation of your divine afterlife or eternal afterlife, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The way that this has been laid out, especially in the 1300s, I won't go so far as to call it revolutionary, but damn close. Because as we see in 1320s, 1330s, 1340s, across northern Italy, southern France, etc., in this area of Europe where the first promulgation of this text is found and then spread from, we start to see the beginnings of ages of enlightenment, we begin to see the proto antecessors to what would latterly become workers' movements and human rights movements and so on and so forth, all stemming from the same region where this also had such great influence just a couple hundred years earlier. I can't say for certain that this is what laid that framework, but I have my suspicions. I have my suspicions that this was probably the revolutionary text that did it. Or a very similar text that was lost to time, which unfortunately happened to too many works from this time period. Too few copies were made and were not conserved. Okay, need to move down to here. And it looks like you're going to read from 55 down to 84, Ancom.
All right. Just highlight it so I don't go reading way past like I did last time.
It was okay because it wasn't way past. There wasn't that much left after the last time. So, like, it was a fair enough overread.
Fair enough. All right. At every mouth he with his teeth was crunching a sinner in the manner of a brake, so that he 3 of them tormented thus. To him in front the biting was as naught unto the clawing, for sometimes the spine utterly stripped of all the skin remained. That soul up there which has the greatest pain, the master said, is Judas Iscariot. With his head inside he plies his legs without. Of the 2 others who head downward are, the one who hangs from the black jowl is Brutus, see how he writhes himself and speaks no word. And the other, who so stalwart seems, is Cassius. But the night is rescinding, and 'tis time that we depart, for we have seen the whole. As seemed him good, I clasped him around the neck, and he the vantage seized of time and place, and when the wings were opened wide apart, he laid fast hold upon the shaggy sides, from fell to fell descended downward, then between the thick hair and the frozen crust. When we were come to where the thigh revolves exactly on the... What?
He's laughing at my cringe.
Oh, okay. When we were come to where the thigh revolves exactly on the thickness of the haunch, the guide, with labor and hard-drawn breath, turned his head around where he had his legs, and grappled to the hair as one who mounts, so that hell I thought we were returning. Keep fast thy hold, for by such stairs as these, the master said, panting as one fatigued, we must perforce depart from so much evil.
Okay, so the part that gets me here, and this is outside of the cringing thing, it's one of the things that actually helps me kind of like escape like truly envisioning this as a whole. How the fuck did we get on this motherfucker's back? Just we're walking up to him across a frozen lake, and then suddenly we're fucking high up in the air climbing down his back like a fucking rope ladder. No transition.
You just kind of walk up a cliff ledge. You just sitting there and you just kind of jump. That's all you do.
I'm not arguing that it's impossible. I'm just like, motherfucker, you couldn't add like 3 lines, one fucking full tercet to explain how we got here. Like,
hey, you know something? We are in the land of completely surreal, so they could have floated and it would have made sense.
I know, but it just detracted from it for me because it's like here, I'll move my mic. Like, here's Satan, here's Cocytus, here's us walking up. Poof. Like, They fucking Goku instant transmissioned our ass onto his fucking back like we're fucking Chaosu. Like,
Hey, you know something? All I'm going to say is that what is it? Virgil just has some special powers. Okay, he just does. Have you not played the Devil May Cry game where he literally poofs out of existence and back into existence at whim when you fight him? I mean,
cool. No, but
that's all the evidence I need.
Jokes aside, this is where we get in the nomenclature of hell that has been laid out by Dante and later expounded by Milton and others. The name for this region of hell, Judecca. This is the region of Judas Iscariot. This is or as we could see over there in the Italian, Guida Scariotto, which is just a much better name in my opinion. This is the ultimate betrayal, the betrayal with the kiss, the betrayal with a smile, the betrayal that was expected and could not have happened any other way.
And the betrayal that was necessary. That's the main thing to keep in mind, that if this betrayal never happened, we would not have had the Messiah.
Well, we won't go into that fucking tangent because I'll be here all day explaining how not a single messianic prophecy was fulfilled. Stop baiting me. Stop it.
Hey, it's your turn. Hey, you know something? I've been baiting enough, and it's your turn to bait now. Okay.
You know I'm not good at baiting. What are you talking about?
Now that being said, the Brutus is Brutus of Julius Caesar. If you don't know,
as is Cassius, the Cassius of Julius Caesar.
Yes,
I find it interesting that the three people were all people, or two of the three people here are people who betrayed Julius Caesar.
Remember, Julius Caesar, up until the Christianification of the Roman Empire, was on track to become a deity.
You know something? He did have the same initials. Okay. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing that out there.
Well, and just to appease my mind, because while that joke was good, saying it in the English way fucking hurt my soul enough. Julius Caesar is his name.
Yeah, it did not escape me either. That I'm like, we're going Yeshua, Christo, and Julius Caesar.
Yes. Well, see, I had to say it the English way because the only way most people know that story is from the fucking play. And
yeah,
like I'm not opposed to it because the play overall does the story justice, but at the same time, because I've been saying it the other way so long, it drives me nuts to say it the English way. Just like it drives me nuts to say to not say Kerberos for Cerberus. It drives me nuts to say Cerberus because that's wrong. That's not right.
Yep.
That being said,
I just call him Care Bear.
I just call him Spot.
That too. That being said, the three people that
for those who don't get that joke, Kerberos literally just means spotted, so Hades named his dog Spot.
Yes. And for those of you who really don't get that joke, that is quite literally where the idea of a dog named Spot comes from. Like that whole book series comes from an author who discovered that and wrote a book
Yeah.
series around it. I don't even remember how long ago it was. I think it was the 1930s. It was a long fucking time ago. Hold on. I'm now curious because we went off on a tangent, but I could say this while I look. No, 80s. Sorry, I thought it was longer ago than that. Cause hold on. Is it still raining? It's still raining. Okay. I have to go get a towel and dry her off when I bring her back in. Okay. So now, where was it? Oh, the three people being chewed. They are being chewed in such a way that the dentition of Satan gives me question about biblically accurate angels again, because how he's chewing them and just removing bone and skin and leave or muscle and skin and leaving bone, specifically the spine, intact, yet removing all that organ. Like, what the fuck are these teeth that he's just masticating on them, that's the end result?
It's not the teeth; it's the slow cooker inside his mouth.
Well, if we go by the architecture that Dante laid out, this is a chest freezer we're in now. Like, yeah, I don't know if that slow cooker's working too well, but just kind of my point of it's the way it's described. These people at the time of Dante will have been being chewed, two of them for almost 1,000 years, and another, the last one, for almost 2,000. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it makes me question the mouth because it's one of the parts that's not described. It makes me wonder if he did this just as the pseudepigraphal touch to the Apocrypha about the mouth being the avenue of the soul, so on and so forth, that Jesus references in the actual canon Bible, but comes from apocryphal books, etc., talking about how the spirit can be like drawn from the mouth, etc., etc. It makes me wonder if that's what he's doing. Go ahead.
That's where the whole concept of breath comes from, like within Catholic teaching, where whether somebody has breath or not determines whether they're alive or not.
Well, whether or not they have spirit. And that's why, and this is a slight political point, but it's also a Catholic historical point that we need to touch upon. It was Catholic teaching up until the I want to say 30s. It may have been 40s, but it's early 1800s. That a baby did not have spirit until it drew its first breath out of the womb. It did not have a soul until that moment. The whole concept of ensoulment at conception, that is a very modern conception within the Christian religion. Just for
It's
those,
it's a modern conception due to modern medicine.
well, yes and no. If we are going based on when it first started to transition, it started to transition when the fundamentalists started doing their translations of the Bible and realized that the Jews did not put it at first breath, they put it at the quickening or first kick, and therefore put ensoulment before birth, and then they were off to the races after that.
Well, if we're talking about the fundamentalist movement, then the major portion of the fundamentalist movement would have been like the 1870s then.
That's when they gained major prominence. This would have been the infancy portion when the precursors were coming up with the thought and doing the translations and stuff. That's what I'm trying to get at. These are the people who were like, hey, ensoulment happens before the first breath. See, here in the Bible it says it happens at the quickening, blah, 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 blah. It was that shit that then gave birth to the fundagelicals. These were the proto-fundagelicals.
Fundagelicals, I like that.
Well, I mean, it's what the best way to describe it, because we don't have fundamentalists
sounds like a 1980s
anymore.
potluck dessert.
It kind of
That's
does.
what it sounds like.
But
Fundagelical.
well, we do not have fundamentalists in the traditional sense, i.e., the people who work on the fundamentalist book. And we do not have evangelicals in the traditional sense that movement started anymore either. It really has merged, at least in all the Western media I'm able to find. It really has merged into a single group. So fundagelical or evangelical, I mean, pick your name. I don't care. Some hodgepodge between them.
Fundamentalist.
Evandamentalists.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't care what portmanteau you pick, but it really is what it's become, at least in the English-speaking Western world. Maybe Protestantism in non-English speaking countries is different, but over here it is definitely morphed into this craziness.
Dad, I need your opinion. Do I give Jack shit on how he just pronounced portmanteau, or do I leave it be?
Go ahead.
Give him shit.
Well, I mean, technically, no. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to actually on that one. I know I said it the fucking American way. I did it.
If you're going to say it, you have to say it in the voice.
No, because I'll probably start coughing as I try.
I don't even know what voice you're talking about.
Well, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, that voice.
Yeah, once I try to add the adenoids in, my throat starts to get scratchy and sore, and I start coughing. I can do it for a little while, but it always ends in me hacking and gagging. Ugh. That being said, back to the reading. Cassius is the one in here that I personally think Dante places too heavy emphasis on. For in the story, Cassius is a reluctant joiner, whereas Brutus wanted to do it from the onset and was only reluctant because he feared the aftermath. Cassius was reluctant because he loved Julius. Like legit. but I mean that like he was reluctant out of legitimate love for his former comrade and battlemate, etc. Like it was a different reluctance. So like Cassius seems out of place here, and it at least in my eyes, and it seems like an unjust placement for him to be here through Dante's eyes as a former soldier himself who would understand the difference between Brutus and Cassius.
My only question is like, who would you pull from then to be the third person if not Cassius?
I mean, up to the 1300s, not exactly like they're spoiled for or aren't spoiled for choice. I mean, we could go.
No, but I mean, like we're.
I would have put I would have put another pope in here. We have the, I forget his name right now because he's fucking barely fucking talked about in Catholic mythology, but the pope who almost ended the fucking Catholic Church by running it into bankruptcy in like the 700s. Right. I'm just using that as a flippant example. I'm just saying there was other people that you could put in this that were ultimate betrayers through an act of betrayal of love, which is what this is supposed to signify.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just saying that, like the Pope that bankrupted the church didn't bankrupt the church out of love.
Oh, he arguable considering he was doing it to bring splendor to the church, but it's why I said it was a flippant example. But the other using another example of a non-historical figure, since he has put ahistorical figures in here as well, he could have put Paris here.
Okay.
A betrayal that costs war
I would say
over love, like, it would work.
I if I were to choose somebody, it would probably have been Jason from Greek mythology.
I mean,
With
I was
the
choosing it from
number of
Greek too, so
people.
that works too.
Yeah, I mean, Jason works because he loves his crew, but he basically betrays them all throughout the entire
Yeah,
story.
the only reason we can't do that is they put Jason elsewhere in the section about wrath.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah. But you know,
But
Paris
Like,
for
you could've
love
done it
of
with
Helen,
Odysseus.
yeah, they
Could
could
have done
have
it with
done.
Odysseus.
But they had
he
Odysseus, and
betrayed his entire crew.
yeah, they could have
Right,
done
but
Paris for the
the
betrayal. They could have
question I
done
have
Agamemnon
the
for
question I
betrayal of
have is
country.
that if we're going to choose somebody that's going to be like the quote unquote ultimate betrayer, it's got to be somebody that's betraying somebody of a higher social status than themselves. Because Judas was betraying Jesus, who was of a higher social status than him. And what is no, no? I'm saying according to like
I know.
the biblical story. I'm not saying like in like the two of them walking out in public during that time period.
Yeah,
and whatnot.
I
I'm
know
not
what you
talking
mean.
about that.
That's why I just did this and didn't do comment. It was just
Yeah,
the
I know. I'm just saying Julius Caesar obviously was above both Brutus and Cassius. So that ultimate love has a second caveat on top of that. So which story would we pull from? Because Jason couldn't use his crew because his crew was below him. What is it? You could argue with the Pope that you're talking about because the church is above the Pope, but I don't think that Pope was making the church splendorous out of love.
um. I could argue that last part, but I'm not going to because it's immaterial in the grand scheme of things. Because it really was just a flippant example to say that they had lots of choices. As to the reason, I would still go back to Paris because his betrayal was of Priam, his father, the higher status, the king.
Yeah.
Now the other one I would use would be Agamemnon because according to that story, he's betraying a god.
Yeah.
You can't really get much, at least in the realm of deific, mythology. You can't get much more of an ultimate betrayal than betraying your own god out of your own avarice.
The other thing is that the characters that what is it? Dante is also using are characters that people already know in modern times, whether they can read or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like they know who Brutus is, they know who Cassius is, they know who Judas is.
It's why I think it might work there.
Agamemnon is.
No, and that's why I think it might be something like that. But it still seems out of place because of as I explained about Cassius. I don't want to detract into it again, but like that's just why this feels different. That means
Too bad Dream of Wormtongue wasn't around for another 600 years.
Yeah. No, what I'm asking is like would the story of Agamemnon been something Dante could have read, or could have that been part of like the lost text that
Dante would have known about it? I don't know if the average person would have known about it because Dante's tutors specifically would have been taught about Agamemnon, since a couple of his tutors, more specifically his Muslim tutors, would have had access to the lost texts that would have been brought back in a couple hundred years later to Europe.
Yeah, I don't know if Rich would have fought this because he'd been a lot more knowledgeable than I am. But I'm wondering if part of that story is actually what is it in the quote unquote lost text that like the half text.
No, and I know, and I'd grant you that if you were talking about all of Greek literature. But Agamemnon was not just mythology, he was an actual historical king. And therefore, the histories that his Muslim scholars would have had access to, he would have at least known about the story. He may not have known every detail. So that's why I'm saying
Right.
I do not know enough to answer fully, but Dante would have at least known. I do not know if the common man would have.
Like I said, I wish Rich was here because I'm pretty sure Rich would have fought you on this.
Or been able to confirm it because he knows one way or the
Yeah.
other. But that's my point is that
Right.
I don't know enough to say definitively whether they would have, but I know Dante would have because I know his scholars specifically knew about Agamemnon because they wrote about Agamemnon. So,
Okay.
like, it's one of those things where it's like, did they specifically teach him about it? I don't know. But considering he studied with them for years about all of this shit, and he brings up more obscure figures than Agamemnon in previous cantos, I find it hard to think that he didn't.
What he had access to.
Yeah, and
It all depends on what he had access to.
I know, and that's why I say without digging into it, I can't answer. But I find it hard to think that he would not have at least known the name, if not known the full story, because of other people he has mentioned. That being said, we get back to the reading.
No, the only thing I will say is that there are times, especially with Greek literature, where people get name dropped. And you get a name, but you don't get the full story, but you just get a name drop in it. So it could be something that he had documents, that referenced Agamemnon, but didn't give the full story of Agamemnon. And that could have been a reasoning for it.
Yeah, no, and that's why I'll grant you that it's one of those things where, because I'd have to now, because we have access to all of this literature, I now have to dig back as to when specific pieces of literature found their way back into specific places of Europe. That's just a lot of digging I did not do this week because like that is textual referencing on a level that I haven't done in years. First of all, second of all, like most of the time, like there's scholarship on. But when I just did a quick Google Scholar search while you were talking, at least not one that's easily identifiable by keywords isn't available. So I can't even do that. I'd have to do it by hand. That being said, to get back to the reading and to lead us back into it, we've just crawled back down the hairy back of Satan between his flapping wings, through his
neck wings to be
no
specific,
between his thick hair and frozen crust. And now we are to this. Then through the opening of a rock he issued, and down upon the margin seated me. Then towards me he outstretched his wary step. I lifted up mine eyes and thought to see Lucifer in the same way I had left him. And I beheld him upward hold his legs. And if I had then become disquieted, let stolid people think who do not see what the point is beyond which I had passed. Rise up, master, the master had said. Upon thy feet, the way is long and difficult the road, and now the sun to the middle tierce returns. It was not mine palace corridor, my eyes for some fucking reason. It was not any palace corridor there were, where we were, but dungeon natural, and a floor uneven and unease of light. Ere from the abyss I tear myself away, my masters, said I when I had arisen, to draw me from an error speak a little. Where is the ice? And how is it one fixed thus upside down? And how in such a short time from eve to morn has the sun made his transit? And he to me, thou still imaginest thou art beyond the center, where I grasp the hair of the fell worm, who minds the world. That side thou wast, so long as I descended. When round I turned me, thou didst pass to the point, to which things heavy draw from every side. And now beneath the hemisphere art come opposite that which overhangs vast dry land, and neath those cope was put to death. Okay, so cumbersome wording both to read and to parse. Um, he is talking about this as, why is this upside down? And Virgil's correcting him, you're not upside down. You still have not seen, we are not past the center yet. This is one of these things about perspective that Virgil is trying to drag him back into, because as his mortal and still living mind is trying to make sense of the otherworldly topography, he is even mistaking up from down due to the depth at which they currently are, because they have not started their ascent through Purgatorio as of yet. I swear I need a cricket on the soundboard.
Might work.
Yep.
Yep. There it is.
Yep.
It's like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure there is one. Give me a second. Oh. Okay. Well. Oh. Since you guys got nothing to add, yeah, fucking Yahtzees.
Hey, you basically said everything. There wasn't much more to put in that.
Well, yeah, but no thoughts. No, just nope. That's good analysis. We're just gonna move on. Just moving on.
All right. Well, let's go to thoughts. I think tomorrow I'm gonna make a bacon cheeseburger sandwich. There. Now you got my thoughts. Okay.
No, that being said, the other part to this is, we just crawled down his back and through a cleft in the rock. This while he is in a lake. It makes me think that there's an island somewhere. It's less than comfortable. Just saying.
Okay, so let's just say that we didn't just climb down his back. We basically flossed his ass cheeks. Okay.
Well,
I mean, a cleft in the boulder have another meaning. Just saying.
I mean,
perhaps the path to Purgatorio is through Satan's asshole.
hey, you know something? He could be trying to use his legs under that ice, and his Kegels could be on point. That's all I'm gonna say. He could have a rock hard ass.
I mean, he could, especially after all that wing flapping. But
Hey, you wanted our opinions. Now you got it.
oh, I mean, the commentary still works, because the thing is it is commonplace in modern psyche when we come upon something so surreal to make jokes of it, to make something funny. Whereas in Dante's time period, more often than not, it was existential horror.
Yeah.
So this is one of those times, as the readers, it would behoove us to try and put ourselves in the mind of the person writing this and the people who would have been reading it initially.
I'm perfectly fine with my feet. If you could stop trying to give me hooves, that would be great.
No. We'll give you the hooves. It's fine.
Damn it.
Just clip them every now and then. You can make your own natural adhesive.
This is what you get when you mix a pug and a golden doodle. You get a dog who will literally chase fucking birds through the damn thunderstorm. Be right back. Get in here. Oh, the thunder finally scared me.
At least
Come here.
At least the dog wouldn't have as many breathing issues.
Yeah. This is true. Ugh. Come here, gremlin. Come here.
Any mix with a pug is an improvement over the pug.
No.
I don't know. I can think of a few breeds that would wouldn't necessarily be an improvement. What's that particular dog breed in East Asia where like tongue sticks out of its mouth?
Oh, I don't remember.
It's the one in the Wolverine and Deadpool movie. The one that the dog that.
Yeah, I just don't remember the breed name.
Yeah, dog pool.
Yeah, dog pool.
I think it's the Chinese crested.
Yeah, that's it. So a Chinese crested and a pug, I do not think would make an improvement on that dog.
Okay, I'll give you that one. That's fair.
Well, and I'll just point out the father is the pug, and that's my daughter's dog. He's been on the channel too. You've seen Bug the Pug on previous episodes.
All right, so am I finishing this out then?
Yeah, there's really not a place to split it in the middle, so yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna try and give a
man who is
another speaking too, but there's not really a
Go
natural place.
It's all good.
I'm saying, but there's not a natural place to split it in two. To give both of you one more.
It's all good.
So there's no
Just
cleft.
have it.
Is that what you're trying to say? There's
No, we just passed that.
between this reading. That is okay. So we're fully flossed, and I'll get us started then. The man without sin was born and lived. Thou hast thy feet upon the little sphere, which makes the other face of the Judecca.
Yep.
Here it is morn when it is evening there, and he who with his hair a stairway made us, still fixed remaineth as he was before. Upon this side he fell down out of heaven, and all the land that whilom he emerged, for fear of him made of the sea a veil, and came to our hemisphere, and peradventure to flee from him what on this side appears, left the place vacant here, and back recoiled. A place there is below from Beelzebub, as far receding as the tomb extends, which not by sight is known, but by the sound of a small rivulet that there descendeth through chasm within the stone, which it has gnawed of. Pardon?
You pronounced chasm as chasm.
Oh, chasm within the stone, which it has gnawed with course that winds about and slightly falls. Winds about and slightly
yes.
falls. The guide and I into that hidden road now entered to return to the bright world, and without cave of having any rest. We mounted up, he first and I the second, till I beheld through a round aperture some of the beauteous things that heaven doth bear. Beauteous things that heaven doth bear. Thence we came forth to re-behold the stars.
We mounted up, he first and I the second, till I beheld through round aperture, after where we just crawled.
I don't think I'm entirely I don't think I'm entirely out of out of order to interpret this as they climbed down Satan's back
And out his
and then
butthole.
they found they found a crevice in a rather large boulder shaped item, and then they found an aperture. Am I not like I feel mad by thinking they climbed down into his ass crack and then through his asshole is heaven. Through Satan's asshole is heaven. Like, I'm having a hard time interpreting this any other way.
Hey, so this could have been the whole South Park thing about the butt baby. That's all I'm gonna say. Satan's butt baby.
I'm like, is it just me or
No.
did Dante
Why-
maybe have an
No.
obsession?
Well, no, here's the thing. It wasn't an obsession. He was attempting to be obscene. He was wanting this to be so outlandish, so shocking to the senses that you would forego your preconceived dogmatic notions.
Fair enough.
Now, crawling out Satan's asshole may have been jumping the shark a little, but but yes, like if you read this, and here, let me show you. It doesn't get better over here.
Yeah.
It's actually even more forward in the Italian.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
So, like,
Oof.
yeah, like there's not really. You're not reading anything into it, but this is one of those things. If he did not mean that, he absolutely described that perfectly without meaning to.
Yeah. Like, and as we have talked about multiple times before, Dante loved to put meanings within meanings. So, yeah, like if anything, I think it's most likely that he intentionally did this in a way which could be interpreted as them finding an aperture at the end of a road, at the end of a crevice of a large boulder, and he knew exactly what he was doing, writing it the way he did.
Well, yeah, absolutely. At least that's my interpretation. Absolutely could have been the more Chaucerian interpretation of it on our part, but yeah, that's how I take it as well. Because, well,
So
Dante
from floss to beads, is that what we're talking about here?
Essentially, but what I was getting at was we view this as a more modern audience through lenses of people like Chaucer and Milton, etc. Because, well, as we have just went through Dante, most people don't know the story of Dante. We are the rare exception by today's standards. 50 years ago, 100 years ago, this would have been very different. But in modern times, we have secondary, tertiary, and even quaternary interpretations of this that have more modern reference points and more modern surrealist imagery to give these same effects. as I kept having to point out in certain times, put yourself in the mind of somebody in the 1200s to 1300s. You think the sun revolves around the earth. You're at least smart
Yeah,
enough to know
fair.
the earth is round, but like you have a lot of fucked up preconceived notions. And probably the strangest thing that you've seen in a vast majority of Europe is one of those weird deer that have the fucking like face glands that protrude out of their fucking their sinuses. Like that's probably the strangest, most otherworldly creature you've seen to this point before reading something like this. Well, besides maybe a mutant, like some kind of deformed fucking offspring, but that's not something that you could account for reliably.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird one.
Yeah. Now,
I
Yeah,
honestly remember, what is it?
go ahead. The delay caught us.
Oh, okay. I know. I honestly remember, what is it, even being in like the society, say Pius X, and the priests and different teachers referencing like the Inferno on a regular basis, like the
Um,
different like
yeah, I read something about this. You guys actually had more influences from Milton and Dante than multiple doctors of the church. It was one of the
hmm
accusations against your former leader before his death.
Lefebvre.
Yeah, but was that he had that issue. So, um,
Yeah.
just one of those things where that you otherworldly interpretations of divine articulation, I believe, is the wording that they used. Because
Yeah.
they can't not be a fucking bunch of pompous pricks, even when they're fucking kicking somebody out for being a dickhead, and then they even
Yeah.
technically kick them out.
Well, I mean, they did excommunicate him, so.
Eh, kinda.
But excommunication doesn't mean that you're kicked out. It just means you can't receive communion. You can still go to the church. You can still do, what is it? You can
Yeah,
still,
they
quote
didn't
unquote,
do
practice.
anathema on
Hell,
them.
you can still go to confession. Like, you just
Yeah,
can't receive the Eucharist.
yeah. Well, you can. You just can't. I forget. There's
No,
rules
no,
behind
you
it.
can't.
No, there's
No,
rules
you
behind
can't.
it. Like,
Now,
go ahead.
I you can't receive the what is it, the Eucharist without full absolution, and you can't receive the Eucharist if you are excommunicated. That is the whole point of excommunication,
No,
is
no.
to literally, because the communion is the focal point for all Catholics, and which we all share and partake in. If you are excommunicated, that means you cannot receive communion.
Yes, and there is. I have to go find it in canon law. There is a
Do it,
provision
because
around
I will
this.
fight you tooth and nail right here, right now, over this point.
Well, no, what I'm trying to get at is there is it has to do with prisoners within the prison, San Angelo in Rome.
Yeah.
They, even if they are excommunicated, were given communion, and I don't remember why. So that's why I have to look into the canon law. So there's a provision around it in that prison. I don't know why in that prison.
It's okay. Well, you're going to have to find it.
Yeah,
You're going to have to tell me, because if
yeah,
you are excommunicated from the church, you cannot receive communion,
I know, and that's
because the act of receiving communion means that you are part of the church.
yes, and like I said, I have to go look. It may be one of those things, like, because it's been years since I read about it. I think it may have been like one of those, they get the last one before their death along with their last rites, but it was only in that one prison where this
Yeah,
procedure
but
was
if
done.
that's the case, it's that if that's the case, that means they'd have to repent. If they repented their position, and what is it though? So like, let's just say the Pope gives a particular priest or bishop orders along the lines of to go and give quote unquote last rites. If the person repents on their deathbed and says that they no longer believe the thing, or they were sorry for the thing that got them excommunicated or whatnot, then they can get recommunicated to the church and then get communion. Okay.
Well, but see, that's the thing I have about this, because, and this is why I have to dig into canon law, because these kind of conflicts have come up before. Because the simple fact is, while you are excommunicated, yes, you are no longer in communion with the church. However, until you are actually hit with anathema, it is not considered you are out of communion with God, because you have not been deemed heretic. And that's why that's why I'm saying it's one of those things where I have to dig, because it's been years, and digging. You've dug through canon law too. It's a pain in the ass.
I'm telling you right now that if somebody was excommunicated, like legitimately excommunicated from the church, and a bishop or a priest went there and gave the person communion, they would not receive the grace or indulgences that come with that whatsoever under church law.
Church law, yes. This is why I have to go into canon law, because canon law may say under church law you don't gain any of the indulgences, but we are not final arbiters, blah blah blah, because they like to do those little caveats in their bullshit.
But here's the thing, like the whole argument behind this is like church law basically says this, but God can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Well, and the vicar of Christ the vicar of Christ on earth can do pretty much whatever the fuck he wants based on the law. That's why there's a lot that goes into this, because remember, the warden of the prison San Angelo is the Pope.
Yeah.
So their bishop that would go to them would be his bishop. Well, so like I don't know how like a lot of those things work, because I'm not a fucking priest.
If the bishop gave them communion without with that, I'm pretty sure that if the Pope gave them communion, they'd probably receive the grace and indulgences that come with that. But if it was just a bishop that did it for them, and it's not, what is it, the bishop of St. Peter's Basilica, then they wouldn't get that. They wouldn't get the graces or indulgences from that.
And like I said, I understand that under church law in modern times.
Right.
I then have to look, because remember, the prison San Angelo hasn't been a prison since the 1700s. Was that canon law changed since then or before then?
Right.
And that's what I need to go look at.
And the other thing we'd have to look at is basically, are we going through a period in which the the Council of Cardinals believes that the Pope is infallible, or that the Pope is fallible? Because they've gone through many different cycles of that. Some of them have been on the books, others have been off the books, and it wasn't fully put on the books until 1850, 1830, somewhere in there?
A little earlier, it's like 1824 or something like that, but yeah, at 1800s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is one of the things that's really, really irritating about Catholicism, is that you'll have like a reign of like 3 popes, and then those 3 popes will be infallible, but then they'll decide after the 4th pope, well, from him on to the next 6 popes, I mean, those ones are going to be fallible, but then we'll get back to an infallible pope.
And the list isn't always static. It sometimes this 3 overlaps with those 4, and you have to parse what list is infallible, and which. This is why I'm not giving firm answers without digging into it, because Despy knows how fucking complicated this shit is, and he knows that something that may have been a rule in 11 to 1200 AD may not be a rule in modern times due to what Pope made it a different rule.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like one of those. Here's an example. Basically, under church law, that person's not allowed to receive the communion. But if the Pope is infallible, if we have an infallible Pope, and the Pope drags his ass down to the bottom of that prison and gives somebody communion, then that person received communion.
Yeah, and this is where they then have to make canon law to support this, and that's where these conflicts come in, which is why I know it happened in that prison, and I'm pretty sure it happened around last rites, and if I'm remembering correctly, been 10 years, so I could be misremembering this, that it was every person who was alive to get their last rites. Obviously, they couldn't do it to the ones who died in their sleep and shit like that. But
Well,
any
last
of
rites, last rites goes while the person is alive, and there's still in a ritual aspect after they have quote unquote passed at the same time, because Catholics believe that the
but
soul
it's
still
called something else
resides
that I
in the
don't
body
remember.
for. Yeah, but the Catholics still believe that the soul resides in the body for like an hour or two after somebody dies.
And that range has been from an hour to 30 hours, depending on what time period in history
Yeah,
we're talking about.
true. Very true.
So that's why it's one of those things where they stop calling it last rites, and then it becomes, oh fuck, I can't remember the Latin name for the fucking prayer, because you change from last rites to something else. You'll notice it, like if you ever watch the video of them giving last rites and they notice the person expire in the middle, they will immediately stop the last rites prayer and start a new one. And you will,
Yeah.
like, it has a name, I just can't remember the fucking name of it right
Yeah,
now.
it's what is it? It's pleading to God to
Yeah,
save the soul, and then afterwards it's basically a prayer to keep the soul from going to hell.
Yeah, it's an intercessory prayer. I just can't remember. It has a specific name. I just can't remember it. It's driving me nuts that
Yeah.
I can't remember it. I'll remember it in like fucking 5 hours from now if I don't go look it up before out of frustration. It's just one of those things. Because it's one of those things that doesn't happen very often. So unless you're actually a priest who is fucking trained in giving last rites, you probably have never even heard the fucking prayer.
Most priests are trained in giving last rites. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because every single priest at the Society of St. Pius X could all give last rites, and they had all given last rites.
It is all priests who are qualified to give sermon, but remember, not all priests are of that level. Neophytes have not hit that training level yet, etc. But are still priests.
So
yeah.
I get what you're saying now.
Yeah. It's they have not gotten. No.
I thought you were talking like people that like fully finished seminary school, fully finished all the necessary things to become a priest, and then there's only like a select few of those that can actually perform last.
No, it's not like exorcism.
Right,
no, it's not like exorcism. I'm just saying, like, I'm just talking priests who haven't learned the rites. If you haven't learned that, you haven't probably even heard the prayer before. It's just one of those things that it's a rarity to have happen. So unless you're trained specifically to do it.
All the priests that have graduated,
any priest you have heard a sermon from hits this. Yes, any priest you have heard a sermon from is of the level we are talking about. All the priests you see that will not do sermons, who go around to do like lots of chores, those are the people I'm talking about.
You talking like deacons?
No, because deacons don't necessarily have to be a priestly or. Yeah, I'm talking. These are priests that are still going through their training. They just don't go through the seminary, and they go through the essentially on-the-job training, which has a long Latin name. Yeah,
but usually, but there's still a process in between that where you have like what is it like lectern, deacon, and then you have like levels that they go up until they reach priest.
Yeah, but I don't remember all the names, and depending on what denomination of Catholic you are depends on how that hierarchy
Oh,
functions. So I just call
yeah,
them priests in training and call them neophytes because that's the more generic umbrella term of what they would be
yeah.
until they become full priests.
So so like the thing is that like it's easier understood in the Latin Mass, and I'm just going to say that because the Latin Mass is so highly ritualized that each individual one of those people have a position and purpose inside the ceremony of the Mass itself.
Yep.
So so like if
Post
you go
Vatican
to
II,
a
we
Latin
lost a
Mass.
lot of this.
Right, right. No, but what I'm saying is if you go to a Latin Mass and it's just the priest and usually at minimum at least one altar boy, because that altar boy is going to be running everywhere to get everything that's necessary. Usually they have two. High Mass has four. you know, I
And
mean,
that's if they
all I'm
don't have the
yeah.
full 8 that they usually have on fucking, their rolls.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. So even with the altar boys, once you have somebody who is above the level of altar boy, it doesn't matter what level it is within like the seminary, that person automatically does the responses to all of the what is it things the priest says. So during the mass, the priest has to recite particular passages like ritualistically, and there are responses to those passages. So as the priest is saying certain things, he's waiting for the reply from the lowest person, which is like the altar boy, to say them. So if there's a lectern there, the lectern would take the place for the responses from the altar boy. If a deacon's there, the deacon takes the place of the lectern to do the responses for the altar boy. But each of these people have a particular place and a particular job during the ritual that the priest
Like
usually
one
just the
lights
altar
the
boy does in a
candles,
regular
one lights
mass.
the incense, a lot. Yeah, there's
Right.
a lot. Like if you ever go to
No,
a
it
classic Latin mass, if you ever get the opportunity, it is a fucking stage play. It is. There is so many moving parts. If you are not paying attention, some of it looks like fucking magic. Like, and that's
right.
intentional.
Like there's a tray that you have to bring that has a particular cup for the priest to wash his hands to say a prayer before he touches the host. There's a whole
And
different
you're not
like
allowed
amount
to
of things.
touch that cup without holding it with a silver or a silken cloth. Yeah, it is. It is very. There is a reason that Protestants call Catholics pagan ritualists. Like this is.
Yeah.
It is not an quote unquote unfounded fucking criticism. I mean they are too in their own rights. They just come up
But
with their own
the
rituals. But
the re-
yes.
the reason why I bring this up is that if you go to a Vatican II church to see the mass there, you may see a deacon, you may see a lectern, they may be somebody just passing through that's just participating in the mass with the priest, but their job isn't as well pronounced as it is in the Latin mass, and you can visibly see what is it like a hierarchy in whose job is what
Now,
within the Latin mass.
on the flip side of this, you don't see it in modern churches, but it's
No.
definitely there. The difference is it is not during Mass, it is during the actual perfunctory duties of running the parish. That's when the
Yeah.
hierarchy kicks in modern Catholicism with these people, which is why it changes not parish by parish so much, but region by region. For example, there will be a lot of overlap, but you're going to get certain name differences, say, from North American Catholics to South American Catholics, from the way these hierarchies are put in order. And that's because
Mhm.
some of them are pre-Vatican II and some of them are post-Vatican II. And as these jobs have changed from mass jobs to administrative jobs, their hierarchy changed along with it over time as well. Because
Yep.
that's what this is. It's an evolution of the system to match modern times. Um, so while we
We
lost
had
this with Vatican II, we gained a greater level of efficiency of administration that I think the Society of Pope Pius X lacked, which is why even after this many years, they have been like outpaced by other offshoot sects that have come, in much more recent time in sheer numbers, because they lack this efficiency, but held to the ritual.
Yeah. Like I would say there was a guy I remember that had gone to seminary school. He was on his way to becoming a priest. He had already reached the level of deacon,
Mhm.
and he had come back to the church on leave of some kind. And when he was at the church, he was performing the mass with the priest with the deacon outfit that was
Remember,
that he
traditional
wore.
Catholic seminary, you go on multiple sabbaticals during
Yep.
to make sure,
Yep.
do you still want to do this? Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't
If you still
until
have the
modern
still have your calling.
it wasn't until modern seminarian practice on Catholicism that it became push, 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 push. Before it
Yep.
was, are you sure? Because once you do this, there's no going back. Because being an apostate priest back in the day, that was it. Like you'd be lucky to be a ditch digger after that. Like, nobody wanted
Yeah.
anything to fucking, even if you were still a Christian, you left being a priest. They wanted nothing to do with you. Why did you leave? What's wrong
Yep.
with you? So like this,
Yep.
it was very different. They made
You can't have a
sure,
calling and then not have a calling.
yeah. Well, and it's not just that. It was the church, for all of its failings and all of its fucking evils. This was one of the things it did right. It was essentially the Catholic equivalent of like multiple Rumpspringas for their priests to make sure. Do you want to be here? Are you sure? You see all this shit you have to do, right?
Yeah.
you see
And
this, you get
the
no
rest of the
sleep.
audience, for
Yeah.
the rest of the audience, a Rumspringa is what the Amish do and Mennonites do to allow their young people to like spend a year outside of the Amish community to see if they want to be a part of the world or come back and be Amish. But that's what a Rumspringa is.
The reason I use that one is even normies kind of know what that is, because they did that weird TLC show following the Mormon kids on their Rumspringa. So like even people,
Mormon,
or not
Mennonite?
Mormon, Mennonite kids on their,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I
I was
misspoke.
about to say
Mormon
kids on a Rumspringa.
they follow the
Wow.
Mennonite kids on their Rumspringa
They were
through.
really enjoying those Dr. Peppers.
But and that was on TLC for like 2 or 3 years, and it was really popular. So a lot of people like just know like what it is in general because of that. That, and a lot of people
All right.
watch that Amish Mafia thing. So like
No clue.
it's a show that for some reasons gets consistent ratings and has been on for like 5 fucking years. To me, the whole idea of an Amish Mafia is kind of fucking comical, because like, in all honesty, what would it take?
It doesn't make sense.
It makes sense in the fact that it's America and organized crime is kind of what we do. It doesn't
But
doesn't
no,
make sense because Amish. Yeah, and what makes even less sense is it's Amish people making a mob in modern America. And yeah, they use cars and stuff like they shouldn't, because they're bad Amish people. But when you look at it, like 1970s FBI could take these motherfuckers out. What the fuck are we waiting on? Like come on, like state patrol, state police, you could probably take care of these people now.
Hey, you know something? Like like, I kid you not. You when you said that, when you put like the Amish mafia, like that makes as much sense to me as a free market communist.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, the big fake.
Well, because not all the people were actually Amish. Some of the people were like plants.
Oh.
Like the show was bullshit, but there was actually like a mafia that like did stuff like sell stolen goods and like sell like illicit goods like hooch and weed and shit, and like sold like reflectors to the young fucking Amish boys to trick out their fucking carriages. And, like this shit is actually a real thing, and it still makes no fucking sense to me.
But Amish carriers do have reflectors on them.
Yeah, but if you notice the young Amish boys have lots of reflectors on them. Like no, seriously, go look up later. Go look up some of the stuff that the Amish boys got into of trick my carriage. They essentially were doing pimp my ride. Yeah, but yeah, it was. Oh my god, dude, it was fucking hilarious. But that digresses. Back to what
I'll
I
be
was
right
going.
back.
Yeah, I'm going to do what most of us would much rather somebody else be here to do because he is far better at it than any of us were. But going to the Sayers commentary, like a lot of this I have mentioned, I won't read through all of it, but I will read through a certain sections that they that she brings up that are poignant. It's Judas, Brutus, and Cassius. Judas, obviously enough, is the image of the betrayal of God to us, with our minds dominated by Shakespeare and by the democratic ideas. The presence here of Brutus and Cassius needs some explanation. To understand it, we must get rid of all political notions in the narrow sense. We should notice first that Dante's attitude towards Julius Caesar is ambivalent. Yeah, because as I pointed out, which she doesn't, he was still in a very legendary status at this time period, because before the Christification of Italy and Rome, Julius Caesar was on his way to becoming a fucking god. The deification was like well underway. But personally, as a pagan, Julius is in limbo. Politically, his rise to power involved the making of a civil war, and Curio, who advised him to cross the Rubicon, is in the eighth circle of hell, Cantos 28, 97 through 102. And note, but Julius was never actually emperor. He was the founder of the Roman Empire, and by his function, therefore, his images that institute, which in Dante's view, see introduction, page 45, which I'm not going back to, was divinely appointed to govern the world. Thus, Brutus and Cassius, by their breach of sworn allegiance to Caesar, they were traitors to the empire, i.e., the world order. Which I kind of said, but it doesn't make sense to me in this sense, because, well, I understand this reading as well. Cassius's application here, it's almost like she forgot fucking what the story is outside of the Shakespearean play. Dante never read Shakespeare, fucking Sayers. Like, he wasn't alive yet. The works didn't exist yet. Like, so this to me reads more of the ancient mythological interpretation that he would have got from his old world scholars. Personally. And this reads more of Sayers' commentary, interpreting it more into it. That being said, consequently, just as Judas figures treason against God, so Brutus and Cassius figures treason against a man in society. Or we may say that we have here in the images of treason against the divine and the secular governments of the world. I could argue that that would be the case, except for that in their betrayal of Julius Caesar, they saved the empire. How do you betray something in the process? Like, they betrayed Julius Caesar 100%. No doubt about it. But they didn't
JC.
but they didn't betray the empire. And this is where I wish Rich was here, because he would agree with me on this point, but he would at least have some argument in defense of Sayers, because I can't come up with one. outside of your
Yeah, I mean, my view of it is that Cassius and Brutus thought that they were doing what was best for the Empire in betraying Caesar.
well, but Brutus
So-
also had the personal motive that Cassius didn't, and that's why I separate the two. But other than that, yeah, because Brutus had the personal vengeance motive that Cassius did not.
Yeah, but I mean, in like if we look at what happened after they killed him, Mark Antony took power, and it ended up being almost worse. And apparently, I just learned this. Cassius had actually argued for also killing Mark Antony, and Brutus stopped him, which I thought was interesting.
Yes, because Cassius was the one who said that if you kill one, you have to kill both. Because if you kill the sire but not the pup, you just create a vicious rabid animal, which is essentially what happened with Mark Antony.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in fairness to old Marky Mark, he was drugged on a bunch of fucking Lotus and sex and basically being worshipped as a living god. That will go to anybody's head. Just saying. Like,
Yeah.
you feed somebody enough,
and all that.
not even just power, feed somebody enough drugs and enough praise. Like, even if they have no power, they're going to be out of their damn
Enough
mind
drugs,
corrupt.
enough praise, and let them use enough lead materials to eat with.
Well, that's
Pewter forks, cups, and plates. There you go.
If you read the next section, I've got something interesting to add to it. So,
okay, and I was about to get to it, but just to close it out, like, Brutus made sense. Cassius does not, unless you read it through the lens of the play, which there's no way Dante could have, which I think is a lapse here on Sayer's part. But okay, and into this Dis, so Virgil calls him Dis, or Pluto, being the name of the king of the classical underworld, but to Dante he is Satan, or Lucifer, or Beelzebub, or as we say, the devil. He can see it now, that which monotonously resents and repels, that which despairs. Milton imagines Satan. But an active Satan, this is beyond it. This is passive except for its longing. Shakespeare imagined treachery. This is treachery raised to an infinite cannibalism. Treachery gnaws on treachery. And so inevitably. Sayers, you didn't finish your thought there. I'm sorry. Either that or this punctuation is wholly out of place. It is the imagination of the freezing of every conception and experience of which neither life nor death can know, and which is yet quite certain if it is willed. Oh, God, yeah, it definitely...
I think it wasn't an incomplete sentence. It was just an odd ordering of the words. I think you can rearrange that sentence to say, inevitably treachery gnaws treachery.
Yeah, I can reorder it too, but it's either an incomplete thought or she had a fucking Yoda moment. Either way, she fucked up there. Just say.
Well, or maybe she also could have just accidentally a word and meant to say "and does so inevitably," because that would have been a complete sentence.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, but it's just sorry. It's
all good.
Even Longfellow is cumbersome at times to the point where we make comment, but that one is just like, I actually had to stop there and think, because I actually had to add another word of treachery gnaws on treachery, because treachery gnaws treachery. Well, technically being a complete... sorry, we're diverging too far. Stop it. Your added thoughts, Despy.
All right, so this is
non-lexical bullshit.
And it actually ties into demonology, because it ties into exorcism and demonology. So we have in heaven, you have the triune God, the Father, Son, Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit, whatever you want to say, depending on the time period. But Anyway, so when in hell, when what is it? The fallen angel, I'm just going to call it that, which is one, has its three faces. The three faces are Satan, Lucifer, and Beelzebub. And according to exorcism and demonology, when it comes to casting out the spirits, they have to figure out which demon it is. And if it is one of those three, they all present themselves in three separate ways, where Beelzebub is nothing but malice, and you have Lucifer, which is nothing but lies, and then you have Satan, which is like a twisting of words more than anything. So how you approach them is based on who you're talking to, because each of the three individually behave different, even though they're all connected into one.
Yes, and the father of cruelty, father of lies, father of manipulation were the three titles you were looking
Yes.
for. Yes.
Yes. But this is all part of exorcism and demonology at the same time. So,
And for any of you who are even remotely interested, not a bit biblical.
nope.
This is all extra biblical shit. If you
Yep.
only give a fuck about the Bible, just ignore this shit and just treat it like fucking
Yep.
comic books. Because like that's what
Yep.
all of this is. It's all extra biblical nonsense, and that's if you consider the Bible to be like coherent. Like you could just immediately discount all of this crap, because we're talking about grimoires that were written in like the 9th century in certain cases.
Yep.
We're talking about fucking demonicas that were written in the 1400s, 1500s. We're talking about things that were interpretations of Islamic folklore, Jewish folklore, North African folklore, Celtic folklore, Gallic folklore, and all trying to interpret it into some kind of cohesive vision of Christianity.
And not to mention also parts of the Apocrypha. So,
well, I still include that as biblical. I'm talking like this was trying to add all of this stuff into the Bible, into the Apocrypha, because remember the cementation of the works of the Bible wasn't until much later as well. So, like as we start going through like all of this, like it is very interesting. I wish I didn't. I wish I hadn't wasted all of the space in my brain knowing about it.
yeah.
But at the same time, it's one of these things that we still see to this day. Like for example, like a lot of these grimoires were written in explanation to through social commentary, do justification for national or city state actions. Like for example, some of the grimoires in the earliest grimoires, when you actually read through them and you remove the demonism bullshit and actually then do a little comparative religion on them, they're just writing about Islam.
Yeah.
They're literally writing about the people that they're going to kill, coming up with an excuse why they're going to kill them as a defensive war. We see it to this day.
You mean Christians calling their enemies demons?
Well, there's that too. I mean, it dates back to
What?
Augustine. But like as you go through this, we see it right now. Like if I were to open up fucking Twitter right now or Blue Sky or any of these fucking platforms, probably take me 3 minutes to find somebody right now, today in March of 2026, talking about the Crusades being a defensive action.
Defensive genocide.
Yes.
Yes. But it would take me no time at all. And it would take me maybe 2 minutes to scroll
You're
through
welcome.
on YouTube. Yeah, fuck you too. It would take me maybe 2 minutes scrolling, not searching, scrolling on YouTube to find some religious apologist jackass with Deus Vult in his thumbnail.
Yep, saying the Fourth Crusade was completely justified and was defensive in nature.
No, they said, I shit you not. A lot of them are now saying all of them were defensive, including the Byzantium crusade. You know, when they committed a crusade against other Christians.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, people are fucking, they don't know their history. And that's one of the reasons why I'm glad I know this stuff. But at the same time, it's like a lot of this
Isn't that the
stuff.
one where you had it where like one of the previous crusades had basically destroyed an entire village, like razed it to the ground, and then Christians moved into that village, and then by the time the next couple crusades came around, they ransacked the village that was fully Christian at that point. It stole everything.
Yeah,
from it.
you're talking about the I can't remember the town name, but it's the town north of Accra.
Yeah.
I know where you're talking about because it's where they ended up having a meeting between the two sides with Saladin. I'll remember again. That's something I'll remember later. That being said, because Saladin left from Accra and had to travel north, and
Yep.
the king traveled south from I forget where, but and met in this town for their meeting. That being said, immaterial to the point is these grimoires, these texts are written to justify the atrocities that are either going to be committed or about that just were committed, almost exclusively. Now, obviously, I'm being slightly hyperbolic with almost exclusively because there's a lot of addition that gets added throughout the years that's just pure make believe that people just came up with that just adds on to the other shit that people came up with as justifications. But like when you go to the root, almost exclusively it comes from justifications of the churches committing one atrocity or another, and this being their divine justification is that they were demons, and therefore God had commanded that you fight demons and blah blah blah. Like, and we see it again today. So like that's why this is a little bit more political of an episode than we usually get into. Even when Rich was here, we didn't diverge this far into modern politics so much, but there are people talking like this. This was written in the 1300s. There's people talking like that today because they believe these silly things, like someone has a demon in them. I saw one today. James Tallarico is a demon. Yeah, that was just like, what? You mean the sweet little Christian boy from Texas who, like, I have plenty of problems with due to his his religious interpretations and the way that he wants to put certain religious interpretations into law, but the guy who went to seminary, the guy who was a preacher, is a demon when he's literally teaching scriptures. What? Like, because they're looking for a justification for the dehumanization they want to do. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, like, it's valuable to learn these things. And remember, I'm using this one example. Go back through history. 70s, 80s, 90s. Go back further, 1800s, 1700s, 600s. You will be able to find, almost beyond a shadow of a doubt, pick a year at random, and you will be able to find somewhere around the world where someone is doing this based on the Bible told them so. Bible didn't tell them shit. They told themselves that they were going to do this and then came up with a reason. That's the reality. So, now back to the reading, because that's essentially what Dante was doing. Is my little diatribe there was what Dante was doing for the last 34 cantos of his own time period, that were doing the same fucking thing.
I should probably go here pretty soon if we want to finish up.
Yeah, and I'm gonna scroll through these. I'm leaving them on screen so that when people go back, they can read them. Because we explained a vast majority of this. The exact times of day are less important, because a lot of that is interpretation or interpolation by the commentators, because they know this is all processed over a week, as opposed to exact timing in hell and exactly when each thing is happening. So, like, this stuff may or may not be on a test, but I don't feel like reading stuff that isn't in the actual text and doesn't tie to the actual text specifically, because it's like, oh, we're basing this on the Book of Hours because this is how this prayer would have been said, and blah blah. Yeah, that may be true, and that may have been what Dante meant, but because he didn't put it in the text, we're laying a whole lot of our own interpretation onto that. Now, I will say this one, and this point it says 108, the ill worm is Satan. At the center of the earth is the little sphere. Satan's body is run through this like a knitting needle through an orange, with his head out of one end and his legs out of the other. This is an interpretation I can't really blame fully on Sayers, because Despy, you'll recognize this because it's a parallel that's in both Eastern and Western mythology. The Weaver.
Yeah.
I think that's what she's interpreting here, but it's not what's actually described in the text.
Yeah.
Like, but I think it is a misinterpretation, because I think the ill worm is a poetic interpretation of the translation of that old serpent from Revelation.
Yeah.
And I believe that is done intentionally to point out that
they spelt it wrong, because that O should be a Y.
no. And I believe Dante did this intentionally as the uh, um, correction, because even in his time period there was a growing sentiment that the serpent in the garden was Satan, and that that old serpent, as Satan is called later in Revelations, is that nod to that. Yet that wasn't the predominant interpretation in 1200s and 1300s. This was a
Yeah.
very new thing. So I think this is Dante correcting that, and Sayers, being a more modern woman and not being as familiar with this little idiosyncrasy of history changing who the serpent in the garden was, because it wasn't a devil or a demon or an angel or anything of the sort. It was a divine creature that was created to do exactly what it's did. Like it, like I I could be wrong. This could be me reading more into it, and he didn't know this, or he was part of the movement that felt the other way. But to me, it seems like he included this to point out the incorrect notion of this, because when you use a poetic wording, you show that the 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 um the the ironic juxtaposition of, why do you believe just because he said you old serpent? There's plenty of people who called other people old serpent that had nothing to do with the devil, in the Bible even. That was an insult, because the whole concept of the lying forked tongue, so on and so forth. Like this was an age-old concept that predates even like the Judaic tribes. Like this dates all the way back into the Proto-Indo-European languages and cultures. So like, why should we assume that insult in Revelation is anything more than an insult? Why should we assume that it really means that this was him? I don't know about you, but that serpent was cursed to always, crawl on his belly and so on and so forth. But in that scene where he's talking to Satan and Satan's standing upright, he's not crawling on his belly. So again, even in the text of the Bible, it seems to contradict this notion that a lot of modern people have about what the serpent is. And it feels like to me Sayers made the same mistake that Dante was attempting to correct.
Yeah. I also wonder, with Sayers being as prudish as she is, if she believes that people crawled through Satan's ass crack to get to Purgatorio.
I think she does. I just don't think that she could have articulated that without blushing for like a week. Because the thing is she, and I'd have to go back because each commentary follows each chapter. I'd have to like go and open up my Sayers version and like scroll back and find it. I think it's in 20 or 22. There's a commentary where she points out in basically disgusted terms that God, Dante is absolutely fucking salacious and disgusting in the way that he uses his prose. And, like she gets indignant in the way that in her commentary, like, oh my God, like how disgusting, how dare he? Like
that would be at the end of this. That would have been a funny question to ask Rich what he thinks. He thought Sayers would think about sliding down Satan's ass crack.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is why I honestly wish that our other friend had joined us today, because a small stream, this is Lethe. What a comment.
Yep.
like in fact, I'm just gonna...
Are you gonna clip it and then put it in the DM?
Oh, and my wife just corrected. So if you have to go, I understand. But my wife just messaged me that since it's storming, my daughter said we can come tomorrow to do her thing, so we're not on any kind of time crunch.
Right.
Unless you have to
So
go, and
also,
I understand you do.
Also, the other thing is you should tell Lethe that small stream is innuendos included.
Nope, I'm just gonna drop it just like that, nothing else. 1:30, a small stream. This is Lethe, nothing else. He's gonna be like, what? Now that being said, the last thing. Here we go. The last thing I did want to read out, which I do find funny, is that she spells Monday the old way.
Yeah.
But the action of the Divine Comedy takes place on the Eastertide in the year 1300. It lasts just a week and is on the night of Monday, Thursday. Yeah. Think about that. Just a wild thing that Dante finds.
I don't think she's saying Monday.
I know.
I don't think she's saying Monday there.
I know.
Monday, Thursday.
I know she's talking about something else, but it's an old spelling. It's a funny thing out of context. Monday, Thursday, because that is an old spelling for Monday, is funny. In context, she is talking about something different.
No, but that's that.
No, it's the Thursday of the Lord's Supper here.
I know she is talking. I said out of context, the two words side by side is funny. In context, it's not. God, and then you had to give the context that made it not funny. Damn it.
All right.
It's okay. I do it too. You guys got me with that last
I didn't
week
get
or
the-
week before last week. But yeah,
Yeah, I didn't get the humor there. I genuinely thought that was it was a different like.
But Dante finds himself astray in the dark wood, and on the evening of Good Friday, that after a day spent in vainly endeavoring to scale the mountain, he meets Virgil and begins his journey through hell, purgatory, and heaven. By the evening of the Holy Saturday, the two poets had reached the bottom of hell at the dead center of the earth. The greater part of the next 24 hours is occupied in climbing the long tunnel which will bring them to the surface again and the mount of at the foot of Mount Purgatory, on the other side of the globe, where they arrive at the time corresponding with the sunset on our hemisphere, which is of course sunrise over there. Dante does not say whether Purgatorio time is to be reckoned as whether 12 hours ahead of ours or 12 hours behind, but I think the latter reckoning gives a better symbolic result. Now, here's where I'm going to disagree. I don't think Dante is actually saying either, because a lot of this is read in after the fact. I don't think Dante gave a thought to the fucking time zones, which were not fucking invented in his time period. Yes, they understood the differences in time in sunrise and sunset, but there wasn't standardized timekeeping in the same ways that we think of as today. Like in many parts of the world, they still they kept time based on candle length and shit. Like this is like, yes, there were clocks. Yes, there were quote unquote precision timepieces. That's not what I mean. It just wasn't standardized. That's all I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Usually each town would have like one big clock that set the quote unquote official time for the town. But yeah, there was no standardized time. There was no sharing of time between places because it took too long for information to get places.
Yes.
Whereas once we got to a point where information could travel, as fast as the clock could tick, then the idea of standardized time became necessary.
The other thing is that the 7-day standard actually works well if you consider that before Holy Thursday there are 3 days of reflection before, well, at least according to Catholics, there are 3 days of reflection before the 3 holy days, and then there's Easter Sunday, and there's also Easter Monday, which is also celebrated within the Catholic Church, making it a full 7 days from Monday to Monday.
Well, and there's also the
Technically,
aspect
that would be 8 days, but
Monday to Monday?
yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's 8 days.
Yes, but he is meaning that, well, it is celebrated because of the way the day of reflection would end at night. He's using Catholic timing. You're right, and he's right. It's this is why standardized time is better. This is why standardized time is better.
Liturgical calendars are weird.
Yes.
It would be like sundown on the first Monday to sundown on the second Monday, which would be
correct.
Exactly
there
7
you
days.
Go.
Yeah. Okay. No, I got it.
Yeah. It's this is why we will sometimes mention it, and why Rich and I would go off on half-hour tangents into this shit, because it's that fucking complicated.
There's 3 days of reflection, then there's Holy Thursday, then there's Good Friday, and Good Friday is one of the 2 days out of the year in the calendar year that Catholics are forbidden to eat meat, eating red meat. Eating red meat on Good Friday or Ash Wednesday. No, I'm telling you.
Well, it used to be all Fridays, but that's all. Yeah.
It wouldn't have been a mortal sin.
No,
if you had eaten meat on a Friday other than what I'm talking about is Good Friday and Ash Wednesday are the 2 days on the liturgical calendar that if you were to eat red meat on those days, it is considered a mortal sin.
Yes, and this is a change, and this is why I was pointing it out and why he got a little touchy, because it has been this way for a long time, but this changed after one particular pope decided to eat fish on a Friday, and then it became red meat instead of all meat. Originally, you were only allowed to eat vegetation on Fridays, according to this
and thus
dogmatic
pescatarianism
teaching.
was formed.
Yes. Well, I don't know if that's actually how it formed, but it might as well be.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it was a pope who didn't want to follow the rules. He changed the rules, and it's been the same ever since, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's why I was
love that papal infallibility.
Yeah. And that's why I was doing a minor correction, because it used to be a mortal sin on any Friday. It has not been a mortal sin on any Friday for a very long time, but it did used to be. And that comes from austerity times, because of fucking all kinds. There's a lot of history that comes as to why that was a thing for so long, but yeah.
Yeah, there's also the fasting on Fridays as well. Like you're supposed to fast on Friday as well as abstain from eating meat.
Yeah.
History from the Catholic Church? What?
Oh, there's a lot of it, just not all of it's fucking cohesive.
Or coherent.
True enough.
Have you ever played Riffs, the tabletop game?
Yes. It's been many years.
It's about
I had
as
to think about it
as
for a
their
second.
rule books. It's about as cohesive as the
No,
rule
see,
books.
the Rift's rule books were coherent. DM's understanding of those rule books were not. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, it does. Just read this rule here. Yeah, but that ignores this rule here that says that you have to take this rule as precedent. Like
I said, it makes perfect sense. My analogy is correct.
Yeah, no, I'll give you. The one I would have done is Hackmaster, but that's a more obscure fucking game system.
The only reason why I said Riffs is because Riffs is basically a a rule book that has a whole bunch of stats, but there's no tables anywhere.
Mm-hmm. No, he's right. Because Rifts is this is a tangent, and this will be the last one before we close out. Going back into
hopefully.
No. Before we close out, going back into Dante, and then I'll just take Dante off the screen, and then it'll just be us bullshitting for a little bit. This is never mind. I'm not even going to change it off. We're just gonna close off on Dante, then we'll go off into the other shit, because I will go off for too damn long, and that's the problem. Okay,
but I am right.
You are, and you're not, because
Riffs.
Yes,
but that's also like Catholics.
Yes, but I'm going to close out. According to this chronology, then Dante, after spending 3 days and nights in the ascent of Mount Purgatory and passing 6 hours in earthly paradise to the top of it, is taken up to the heavenly paradise at noon on Wednesday after Easter. He then rises successfully through the 10 spheres, all the time around the world with Wednesday, until he passes over the meridian of Jerusalem. The day changes to Thursday, and at the sunset on Thursday, by our time, he attains the height of the Imperium, and the visionary journey ends. Now, she's right at the end point. The points where I'm going to disagree is this. This has been a surreal timescape. They have made multiple points to point out that the passage of time has not been coherent to either Virgil or Dante. And Virgil even has the benefit of it being an intercessory prayer granting denizen of this area, so he should be used to this, yet the passage of time does not even make sense to him. I believe a vast majority of this, while we know that the beginning date and the end date, I believe a lot of this middle shit is them interpolating Catholic dogma some of which didn't exist in Dante's time, onto where certain things fall in these stories.
Yeah.
Could she be right? Yes. I think there's several interpolations where she's wrong, because I know for a fact that dogma did not exist, at least as a coherent standard within Catholicism, until like the 15 or 1600s, so obviously long after Dante's death. And therefore, because I know of those couple, I assume she has made errors elsewhere as well. I just can't prove it definitively either way, because this is one of those things, because Dante never gave us a definitive writing on a chronology. This is interpretation. And the only one that I can have any confidence on is riding on the back of Gurion, sorry. I believe takes place on the end of the first day. And the reason I say that is because there's a particular line that makes allusion, not direct statement of, but allusion, that it is night here and there, meaning here on earth and in hell. And that's the only one that I can find, and I reread through these last night, all 34 cantos. It is the only one where I can find any line that shows and Canto 1 showing the first day, obviously, that I can show a definitive line in these 34 cantos that gives us something, that gives us an allusion to the time on earth of past, having passed in any kind of definitive time scale. Everything else is all abstract and mostly not mentioned at all. Now, could this be me missing some poetic flourish in a language? Yeah, I have to admit that. But at least as far as I can find, and they don't show anything in the commentaries, because I read through those as well. I read through Musa, I read through Sayers, and I read through Ciardi. None of them show me any tercet lines that give them any specific time frame either. It's all assumption based on imagery. And some of that imagery, as I said, did not become part of Catholic dogma until after Dante. So, I don't know how to do more with it than that. And I read through several Dante scholars, and none of them give me anything, because all of them disagree on these points too. Like, there's no definitive answer on this. There's a lot of people who just take some of these commentaries at their word, and others who just point out that it's a loose guideline, that it's interpretation, but I can find no definitive answer. So, if your professor says there's a definitive answer, agree with him, but just know I couldn't find one, and I've now been looking for over a year and reread through all of my notes and all of the cantos last night and still couldn't find it. So, but don't disagree with your professor. Just say yes. It's whichever commentary he says is definitive. Say it's definitive and just agree. That's how you'll pass your test. Don't basically be an asshole
yes,
like
and
me.
Your professor.
Yes, absolutely. Because don't be the asshole like I would be. I'd be the asshole who argues and probably gets a bad grade on the test because of it. If not outright fails because the professor just says, nope. Because some professors will do that. I don't know if yours is like that, so I don't want to slander them. Just know that if he says it's definitive, just assume that he's won or she's won, and don't fight them. Unless you're a grad student, in which case, why the fuck are you watching our apparatus? This is for undergrads at best. Like, seriously. This is for like high school kids who are at really good schools and undergrads.
Are they're like an AP English or something along those lines?
Yeah, like none of us here, even our good friend Rich, were qualified to teach this above this level of like undergrad, like because where our understanding ends. Like you would need to go to other people to get for that other shit. Now, if you are watching and you are a grad student, thank you. That means you just appreciate our fucking bullshit. In which case, I'm sorry for other reasons. But on the flip
Don't look at what ripped are.
yeah, but on the flip side of that, with the closing out of there is no true definitive time scale, and the scholarship has no definitive answer to this. Just answer whatever your professor says is definitive on this. It will be what is on the test. Don't try to read your own interpretation into it. No matter how accurate you may be, you're going to get marked off. And that's the whole point of this, is to help you study for your test and hopefully a semi-entertaining way, that because reading this is very dry. Because there's so many things you have to go and look up, because unless you're intimately familiar with ancient and medieval history, some of this stuff makes no goddamn sense. Like there is imagery that is coded in wording that today sounds like gobbledygook, but made perfect sense to the 1300s European. So like, there's a lot of that that would have made this far drier. So with this, we will be closing out Inferno, and I am truly sorry that our friend was not here to be able to join us. But as you can see, I kept him on screen to be here, and he will continue to be here with us for going forward, because like it was us sitting here talking about Dante and talking about the apparatus, and how so few schools have the money to drop several $100s on these kind of like specialty textbooks to teach in this way, that we decided to come up with this video series. And we decided that even though most classes only teach the Inferno, we are going to go through Purgatorio and Paradiso. Now, our other good friend, Despy here, is going to be interspersing.
I only thought I was supposed to be a guest. I didn't realize that I was supposed to be like a main character in this thing.
Oh, no. No. The idea was we were going to have running guests, but I forgot how hard it is to get guests on a regular basis for scholarly work when you don't hang out with a bunch of college nerds.
You haven't D&D'd in a while, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
You haven't DM'd in a while, have you?
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it is. No argument. This is 100% what it is.
I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of understood that I might be in a main character role.
Well, and I did warn you and Ancom both ahead of time that you would probably be on the most regularly. So, that being said, we wanted to do this for this. Now, going forward, we will be doing every other week with Dante, and on the even weeks, we will be doing the Analects, in which case Despy will be running the show, and I will be mainly guest. Because he is the one who knows that text better than anyone here, including our good friend Rich. In fact, our good friend Rich had never actually read the Analects in its entirety until our proposal for this idea. And
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting because like there are about 5 books that are relevant to like modern life, like how a society should function, and then there's like another 15 plus that are basically just some really strange passages that, unless you understand the context, are really hard to follow.
Yeah,
and just to give everyone an idea of how absolutely out of place I am here, I don't even know what the Analects is. I've never heard of this.
Please explain, Despy.
It's the Confucius textbook.
Okay, more brief than I would have went. It is the Confucius way of dealing with conflict and interdisciplinary
No,
hierarchy.
it's Confucius. It's Confucius state building. That's all it is. It's basically Confucius. It's Confucius thoughts on how a society should run.
And
Okay.
that's essentially what I said. Just again, more brief.
Right. Like basically, it's Confucius's idea of that if you're going to build a state, this is how the state should operate.
As well
And
as
this
Gotcha.
how the
And
sub
now knowing
society should operate as well.
right, but when I
and
say
and now
when I say,
go ahead.
when I
Sorry.
say a state, I don't necessarily mean a government. I also mean the individual people that participate within
Uh-huh.
the state.
Well, and I was just going to go because you talked about those 15. I was bringing up how those go even into subcultures within that society, how they should interact
Yep.
between other subcultures. Like it goes really in depth. It is extremely difficult to parse out. The only reason I struggled through less than I think I would have normally is because of my familiarity with like Asian cultures in general.
Hmm.
That being said, be prepared for some poetic language that is less cumbersome than Longfellow, but more absolutely mind taxing.
Yep.
Well,
And
it should be interesting as an anarchist going through a state building manual.
well, here's the thing. You are an anarcho-communist. So while you are an anarchist, you are a communist, and this is the state of the commune, is what he is talking about, because that is essentially what most of the states within China are at the time of writing, because this is before the solidification into a single kingdom. This is during.
So this is like warring states period.
Is this the Seven Kingdoms period or Nine Kingdoms period? I forget.
No, this is Confucius is writing 300 years before the Three Kingdoms.
So somewhere in between the Seven and Three Kingdoms period. Okay, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
I'd have to go look it up because this is before the solidification into the Middle Kingdoms.
Yeah. There was like a warring period, like a major warring period 300 years before Confucius. There's a semi-warring period happening during Confucius, and then you have the Han Dynasty, which is basically the Three Kingdoms where we get all the lore of China from.
And the semi-warring period that he's talking about is still exceptionally warlike. It's just less warlike than the time period before it, which saw almost 21 million people dead over the course of 75 years in a time period when the world population was less than 500 million.
Yeah, it's just that like the Han Dynasty warring period is the period that has like the most historical reference and the most legend like mythological references to what is it Chinese history. So it's interesting. It is, but
And with
I
that,
mean, now that we're going into Chinese philosophy, I almost want to, put out the Tao Te Ching at some point.
can do that too.
and with that, we will close out the Inferno with the Pope song.
One thing seems to be a truth, and that is that if a person or an institution are held sacred by too many people, then they are by definition beyond criticism. And when a person or an institution becomes beyond criticism, it seems they slip inevitably towards corruption. Fuck the motherfucker, fuck the motherfucker, fuck the motherfucker, he's a fucking mother. Fuck the motherfucker, fuck the motherfucker, fuck the motherfucker, what is the SSO? Fuck the motherfucker, fuck the motherfucker, fuck the motherfucker, fucking fuck the motherfucker. Fuck the motherfucker, fuck the motherfucking Pope. Fuck the motherfucker, Fuck the motherfucker. Fuck the motherfucker. He's a total motherfucker. Fuck the motherfucker. Fuck the motherfucker. Fuck the motherfucker. He's a fucking motherfucker. Fuck the 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 motherfucking. Fuck the motherfucker and fuck you, motherfucker, if you think that motherfucker is sacred. If you cover for another motherfucker who's a kitty fucker, fuck you, you're no better than the motherfucking rapist. And if you don't like the swearing, this motherfucker pours from me and reckon it shows moral or intellectual paucity, then fuck you, motherfucker. This is language one employs, and one is a little bit cross at motherfuckers, fucking boys. Yep. And I don't give a fuck if calling the Pope a motherfucker means you unthinkingly brandy and unthinking apostate. This has now to do with other fucking godly motherfuckers. I'm not interested right now in theological debate. There are other fucking songs and there'll be other fucking ways. I'll be a religious apologist on other fucking days. But the fact remains, if you protect a single kitty fucker, if Pope or Prince or Plumber, you're a fucking motherfucker. Yeah! And I don't give a fuck what any other motherfucker believes about Jesus and his motherfucking mother. I've no problem with the spiritual beliefs of other fuckers, while those beliefs don't impact on the happiness of others. But if you build a church on claims of moral authority and with threats of hell impose it on others in society, then you motherfucker, can expect some fucking wrath. When it turns out you've been fucking us in our motherfucking asses. Our motherfucking asses. So fuck the motherfucker and fuck you, motherfucker, if you're still a motherfucking papist. If you covered for a single motherfucker who's a kitty fucker, fucking he's as evil as the motherfucking rapist. And if you look into your motherfucking heart and tell me true, if this motherfucking stupid fucking song offended you, with its filthy fucking language and a fucking disrespect, if it made you feel angry, go ahead and write a letter. But if you find the song more offensive than the possibility the Pope protected priests when they were getting fucking fiddly, then listen to me, motherfucker, this here is a fact. You are just as morally misguided as that motherfucking power-hungry self-aggrandizing bigot in the stupid fucking hat. They won't allow gays there. Who started dancing? Who'd started dancing? Who started dancing? Who'd started dancing? Pope on a disco bed. The Pope on a disco bed. The Pope on a disco. Who started dancing? Who'd started dancing? Who started dancing? Who'd started dancing?
And with
Good
that,
stuff.
until we get back to you next time, have a good one.
Well, woke up late and missed the rapture bus, trying to Google exit hell, but it's just us. Tour guides, dead, dress code, flames and dust. Welcome to the pit. No refunds, no trust. I'm stuck in limbo, saw sin, but barred from grace. All the singing hymns, no heaven face. Dante's ghost just waiting, empty space. Here in lust they whirl on endless breeze. Paolo and Francesca's kiss, a cursed tease. All yearn for love and drop to their knees. Lucky one sludge, kiss up the fright. Cerberus snarls at every bite. They gorge, they choke, stuck day and night. Lethal anchors with scales of gold. Plutus gone, involved so cold. Hands cramped from grasping, never sold. On the swamp of wrath, all rage is loud. Filippo Argenti fights in the crowd. Fury splash. to blame. Violence, rivers boil with blood, minotaur hunts in muddy flood, murderers scream, there's no more good. Frogs, monsters hide in the snakes below, Ulysses plotting his final woe. They bite, they twist, voices echo. At the bottom says frozen hate, Lucifer chew. When traitors say Brutus, Judas locked in ice, too late. So night stops deep through rage and sin. I'd scream to flee, but I'm late again. Well, woke up late and missed the rapture bus, trying to Google legs in hell, but it's just us. Tour guides, dead, dress code, flames and dust. Welcome to the pit, no refunds, no trust. I'm stuck in limbo's all sin, but barred from grace. Scholars singing hymns, no heaven face. Dante's ghost just wait in empty space. Here in lust they whirl on endless breeze. Paolo and Francesca's kiss, a cursed tease. All yearn for love and drop to their knees. Lucky one sludge, kiss up the fright. Cerberus snarls at every bite. They gorge, they choke, stuck day and night. Lethal anchors with scales of gold. Plutus gone, involved so cold. Hands cramped from grasping, never sold. On the swamp of wrath, all rage is loud. Filippo Argenti fights in the cloud. Fury splashes can't drown them out. Heretics burn in tombs of flame. Fall in their fire, they scream his name. Locked in denial, no one's to blame. Violence, rivers boil with blood, minotaur hunts in muddy flood. Murderers scream, there's no more good. Frogs, monsters hide in the snakes below, Ulysses plotting his final woe. They bite, they twist, voices echo. At the bottom says frozen hate, Lucifer chew. When traitors say Brutus, Judas locked in ice, too late. So night stops deep through rage and sin. I'd scream to flee, but I'm late again. And missed the rapture bus, trying to Google legs in hell, but it's just us. Tour guides, dead, dress code, flames and dust. Welcome to the pit, no refunds, no trust. I'm stuck in limbo's all sin, but barred from grace. Scholars singing hymns, no heaven face. Dante's ghost just wait in empty space. Here in lust they whirl on endless breeze. Paolo and Francesca's kiss, a cursed tease. All yearn for love and drop to their knees. Lucky one sludge, kiss up the fright. Cerberus snarls at every bite. They gorge, they choke, stuck day and night. Lethal anchors with scales of gold. Plutus gone, involved so cold. Hands cramped from grasping, never sold. On the swamp of wrath, all rage is loud. Filippo Argenti fights in the cloud. Fury splashes can't drown them out. Heretics to blame. Violence, rivers boil with blood, minotaur hunts in muddy flood, murderers scream, there's no more good. Frogs, monsters hide in the snakes below, Ulysses plotting his final woe. They bite, they twist, voices echo. At the bottom sits frozen hate, Lucifer chew when traitors say Brutus, Judas locked in ice too late. So night stops deep through rage and sin. I'd scream to flee, but I'm late again. I woke up late and missed the rapture bus, trying to Google eggs in hell, but it's just us. Tour guides, dead dress code, flames and dust. Welcome to the pit, no refunds, no trust. I'm stuck in limbo's lost sin, but barred from grace. Scholars singing hymns, no heaven face. Dante's ghost just wait in empty space. Here lust they whirl on endless breeze. Paulo and Francesca's kiss, accursed tease. All yearn for love and drop to their knees. Lucky one sludge, kiss up the frights. Cerberus snarls at every bite. They gorge, they choke, stuck day and night. Lethal anchors with scales of gold. Plutus gone, involved so cold. Hands cramped from grasping, never sold. On the swamp of wrath, all rage is loud. Filippo Argenti fights in the cloud. Fury splashes can't drown them out. Heretics burn in tombs of flame, far in their fire. They scream his name, locked in denial, no one's to blame. Violence, rivers boil with blood, minotaur hunts in muddy flood, murderers scream, there's no more good. Frogs, monsters hide in the snakes below, Ulysses plotting his final woe. They bite, they twist, voices echo. At the bottom sits frozen hate, Lucifer chew when traitors say Brutus, Judas locked in ice too late. So night stops deep through rage and sin. I'd scream to flee, but I'm late again. I woke up late and missed the rapture bus, trying to Google eggs in hell, but it's just us. Tour guides, dead dress code, flames and dust. Welcome to the pit, no refunds, no trust. I'm stuck in limbo's lost sin, but barred from grace. Scholars singing hymns, no heaven face. Dante's ghost just wait in empty space. Here lust they whirl on endless breeze. Paulo and Francesca's kiss, accursed tease. All yearn for love and drop to their knees. Lucky one sludge, kiss up the frights. Cerberus snarls at every bite. They gorge, they choke, stuck day and night. Lethal anchors with scales of gold. Plutus gone, involved so cold. Hands cramped from grasping, never sold. On the swamp of wrath, all rage is loud. Filippo Argenti fights in the cloud. Fury splashes can't drown them out. Heretics burn to blame. Violence, rivers boil with blood, minotaur hunts in muddy flood, murderers scream, there's no more good. Fraudsters hiding snakes below, Ulysses plotting his final woe. They bite, they twist, voices echo. At the bottom says frozen hate, Lucifer chew. When traitors stay, Brutus, Judas locked in ice, too late. So night stops deep through rage and sin. I'd scream to flee, but I'm late again. And missed the rapture bus, trying to Google eggs in hell, but it's just us. Tour guides, dead dress code, flames and dust. Welcome to the pit, no refunds, no trust. I'm stuck in limbo's lost sin, but barred from grace. Scholars singing hymns, no heaven face. Dante's ghost just wait in empty space. Here in lust they whirl on endless breeze. Paulo and Francesca's kiss, a cursed tease. All yearn for love and drop to their knees. Lucky one sludge, kiss up the fright. Cerberus snarls at every bite. They gorge, they choke, stuck day and night. Lethal anchors with scales of